And we are back. It's Friday. It's boiling hot. I am sweating profusely. But I've got Wackles here. How's it going, mate?
Yeah, it's way too hot for me. I'm a don't leave the house, rain sort of guy, and this is too sunny, too hot, too bright. All bad.
We're
It's
so
awful.
British,
Awful
aren't we?
times.
I love it. It's like, oh, it's too cold. It's too cold. I don't like this. As soon as we get some sun, no, it's too hot. I can't deal with this either. Oh, we're like Goldilocks.
That's like you could argue that's a good analogy for Arsenal fans as well.
Oh
But
God, you started
okay,
off straight away. I love it. I love you're such a pro. Chat, by the way, appreciate it so much. So many of you in the chat already waiting, ready to go. I mean, Basher, you are right. You are the you're kind of like the introduction entertainment before we come on and ruin it. Essentially, it's when when you get a better warm up to act than the actual main thing. So, has anything happened this week? Any news this week?
I feel like every week's gonna be like this. There's gonna be like 4 big points to talk about. Like it's just never a quiet week. It seems like.
Do you reckon we'll get any signings this week? I don't know. I mean, I've heard there's a couple of lads over at Chelsea who are pretty good. We could mop them up.
I think we'll get some here we goes this week.
Nicholas
I
Jackson.
don't know when they'll get actually announced, but that's a whole other question. But I think we'll get some here we goes. We should do.
And just quick hi to George. Thanks for tuning in, mate. Again, every week. What a legend. What an absolute legend. Should we just go into MADUEKE? Should we just kind of get over and done with? I know you're kind of more excited to talk about this than I am.
So excited. So excited.
Okay. Oh, let's do it then. So, on the FOKLZ podcast tonight, how much? David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano both confirming Noni Madueke is granted permission by Chelsea to leave the camp in the USA before their final, which is pretty crazy as well, come and agree a transfer over to Arsenal. It looks like, Fabrizio Romano is saying 50 million with add-ons. It looks like it is going to be a 52 million pound deal and a 5-year contract. Rumor is that he will keep the same wages as he previously had, which is really good actually. Very kind of moderate wages for a pro footballer in the Premier League. Oh, should we be spending this over, mate?
Wow, it depends. It really, really does depend. It's a difficult situation because I think the biggest downside is the amount of money we have spent, in my opinion, on this player. I do think that it's 48.5 like fixed money and then like 3.5 in add-ons, which Hand of Arsenal reported. So like that is a lot of money to spend. Do I think that is an overpay for this player? No, I don't think so. I think given where the market is at, people need to understand how the market works a little bit more. I've seen people say, well, they spent 30 mil on him, 26 mil or whatever it was, and then he got worse and then is worth more. Well, he played in a way better league, showed he has quality and potential, and we'll get into it, but he's not been that bad at all. And that is obviously going to make him price. The reason why the market is the way it is because people just buy players based on potential. That's all it is. You're buying based on potential. That's why Šeško, 90 million euros, even though he's not that good right now. And with Madueke, he still has that high potential there. He's proven some sort of ability in a higher league than Gyökeres, than Šeško, then most of the wingers we even talked about, Bakayoko, Kubo. I mean, Kubo maybe not, but he is in the highest league in the world and has played for a very competitive team and a very good attack. Chelsea's attack up until January was like the second best in the league last year, arguably the first. Then it fell off a little bit. Individual performances weren't there. Change of system didn't quite work. But I think like the hard thing is finding where this fits in with our money.
Cutting out for me, Reece.
How much money do we have to spend? And the problem is, and I optimistically think we could with sales.
Have you disappeared? Are you back?
No. Hello.
Oh, I think he's gone. I'll try to bring Reece back in. I don't know what's happened. Reece Walker's just got brand new. He's just sorted out his Wi-Fi apparently as well. Oh, there he is. He's back. Go on, mate. Sorry. To be fair, do you know what? You said something that I haven't even thought about. I haven't even considered the fact that we go on and on about how are they going to translate to the Premier League? Like, how is Gyökeres going to translate? Can sorry, Goon and Millsy just absolutely rinsing you. Think you got your Wi-Fi from Plunderland. Does it really matter? Like, if Madueke is not performing at elite levels anyway, does it matter?
I mean, like I think that I have a lot more question marks over a Gyökeres, which I have been positive of over the last couple of weeks. But I would argue that transfer to me is much more questionable than this one. I think the only thing questionable is the money paid. I think the money paid and maybe where he fits in the team and what that means for an Ethan or an Eze if he comes in. I think that is the questionable bit I have about Madueke coming in. But I have no doubt about this guy's quality. Like, I don't ever tweet before the last 3 days, basically. And I tweeted in 2024 that I said something like, Matt, when he scored a hat trick against Wolves and it was rumored that they wanted to get rid of him, I literally did a tweet saying, like, that is annoying. He is, in my opinion, Chelsea's best winger. He's a top player. And I stood by that for months and months and months, saying that he is Chelsea's best winger and he is really, really talented. And he just isn't, he's not full product. He's not amazing, but he has so much to him that of what I've been convinced. And when these rumors came out, my friends were telling me, they were like, oh, I bet you hate this. And I was like, no, Madueke is my guy. I've been defending this guy for years against Chelsea fans, saying that he is actually good. I get he isn't the end product that you want. I understand that. But he's one of them players that I give time to. It's the same with Jackson. Like, Jackson hasn't necessarily progressed how I'd want him to, but he's actually much better than what people think he is. Like, he's a very, very good striker. If he played for teams that maybe aren't Chelsea, you would realize that this guy is pushing weight a lot and people would be like, well, he's actually good. And like, I look at Madueke and I just think, like, I'm not surprised Arteta wants him. He is such an Arteta player in my eyes because he's wanted the Rafinha, he's wanted the Sanes, and like, we need like a fast dribbler, direct player. We talked about Semenyo before. I mean, realistically, this is a much cheaper option than Semenyo, much younger option than Semenyo. And I would argue that he's probably got the best sort of potential to develop into a better player. He's got a very high ceiling. Like, there's so many question marks. Is it like worth it right now? No. Do we need to sign a winger, a left winger first, or a midfielder or a striker? Yes. This deal was obviously a lot easier than a Gyökeres and then a whatever Rodrigo.
Yeah.
So that's why it's happened. And I also think when I look at Madueke, people are like, well, why did Chelsea get rid of him? That's just not how football works. Some teams get rid of players that are great for other teams. Like, they're getting rid of him because Neto's finally broke through. Do I think Madueke is a better player than Neto? Yes, Neto's awful in my opinion. But I look at other players.
I love it when you pull your punches, mate.
Well, I look at other players they've signed. They've signed Estevio, who's like 18. They spent 40, 50 mil on him. They've signed, I think it's Paz or whatever his name is, Pays from South America. He's not coming in this summer, but he's coming in soon. He's also a winger / midfielder. Like, they just don't have the room and they have better talents that they see progressing better, which makes sense. And like, ultimately, like, we have the room for Madueke in our team that they don't.
I mean, loads to unpack there, mate. Loads to unpack. I'll start with Basher a sec. So he's saying, and I'm with him on this, excited about the player profile. He's got many qualities we're desperately missing, and I'm sure we'll go into that in a little bit. Big question marks over the final action end result, but we can only hope he gets better. We overpaid, and that. Sorry, it was the ending. I was like, and that's a fact. There we go. Thanks, Basher. I'm with Basher on it. There's multiple things I don't like about it. So I'll start with kind of, you said about Arteta player. I do agree, like, he is quite an Arteta player when you start to look at some of the profiles we've been linked to in the past. My worry is he's almost like an anti-Arteta player in terms of, if you look at the penalty incident, okay, I know it's like, a drop in the ocean of, if you play, a silly amount of minutes over a career, you're always going to have something. That, to me, doesn't look like an Arteta type player. You could also point out that certain things he's done in the media, he's not exactly a shy lad. I remember that there's one, and it sounds so innocuous. Have you seen the video of him where they're on a catwalk? And it's like, straight away, I hate footballers on a catwalk, but I'm just like an old, miserable man. So that's part of it. But like, there's certain things, and I think, I do wonder how you'll fit in with the squads. I love for Arsenal, we have got lots of players in terms of like Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, Ben White, who, when they're on the pitch, they're quite extroverted. When they're off the pitch, they seem quite introverted. I don't think Madueke falls into that category, but you could argue maybe, you know, the balance of the squad, we need more of that. There's definite kind of, in my mind, overpaying. If we look at the players that are going, I know you kind of mentioned it. So we've got João Pedro, Alanga, that is a dubious transfer. We'll see what happens there. Kudus and Morgan Gibbs-White. For me, Pedro was what, 60 mil? It's, I feel it's overpaying, but I can kind of understand why they've bought him. Alanga, I mean, I don't know what is going on with that transfer and if that's going to happen. What are your views on that? Just real quick. Do you think Forest are in there well within their rights to go, are you tapping up our player? And we're not happy about
White,
it.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, yeah, it's Morgan Gibbs White, wasn't it? Yeah, tapping out the player. There's a non-disclosure. I love that. You got a release clause, but we're putting in a non-disclosure agreement. Surely you can't do that. I mean, that in itself is just odd anyway. And then at the same time with Tottenham, or are you kind of more on, you know, their side of, well, we haven't done anything. We've just put in a bid and we're going to get a player. And let's be honest, everyone taps everyone up. Like, look at Real Madrid. That's how they survive. You know, they just constantly do this. Like, which side of the coin are you on it?
I mean, not a Forest, they're idiots. I can't lie. Like, how are they getting away with this? Like, it's so funny. I literally have scouted Gibbs White loads at the start of the summer because, like, it was quite known within the industry that he was going to go to Man City and he was their guy they wanted. And then obviously it didn't pan out. They decided to go for a cheaper option with Cherky. And I never knew this release clause was a thing. So when I saw that Tottenham bought the release clause, I was like, I don't think City knew there was a release clause in his contract because I don't think that's why they pulled out of the deal. I thought they thought the deal was going to cost around 70 mils. They just pulled out, which is so funny to me, like how things have happened. So I was like, well, that's weird. And then I looked at it and was like, what? I was like, I get why they would have a release clause that you don't tell people because it's like a good. If someone goes in for 68 mil, oh yeah, it's accepted straight away, and they've like 18 mil. But I do think it's a bit. I don't like that as a business tactic. I think it's a bit weird. And also, like, obviously they're going to talk to the agent. The first thing that I know that clubs technically aren't allowed to, but the first thing they do is they talk to agents to kind of see if that player, one, wants to move, two, what the price maybe would be if what the player thinks, and three, if that it can actually happen, if that's feasible. Like we did it with Madueke. Like Arteta spoke to Madueke before we even had interest and wanted him to come in. And then it ends up aspiring that Madueke wants to come to Arsenal and he's like, works out. And so it's just one of those situations where it's like, yeah, I mean, what did they expect? Like, I don't know. And it's just it's the Forest owner in it. Like, it's just, there's always something going on there. There's always something.
Can we call him the Forest owner now? Can we still call him that? If it's like a conglomerate or whatever, they're trying to pass it off. I mean, the whole situation's nuts, isn't it? Just mental. I mean, I'm with you. I think both clubs, like Tottenham, have definitely tapped him up. But at the same time, I think the way that Forest are dealing with the whole situation is just sour grapes. They are just both of you. I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered with it. Anyway, we'll move on back to our club. Right, let's go through the players. If they move, are they overpaying or are they kind of right? Or possibly are they underpaying? So let's go. João Pedro, overpay or just about right?
Just about right, I would say. I think this is value.
Alanga.
I just want to say that, like, this is the thing that people need to understand about Madueke. All of these players I think, are in the same sort of categories. They're all Prem players. They're all overpaid. I think all of them, to an extent, have been like they're more money than they would be if they were at a team in Europe. It may be. It depends kind of where you look at it. But I do think all of them are so specific. Like, I was watching a video today. Alanga is literally at Newcastle because they wanted someone that can run in behind. He can't do anything else. He's not a good presser. He's not great on the ball. He doesn't create a lot. He gets a lot of assists, but that's just
But
an
he is good at
overperformance.
running behind.
Yeah, and the other quickest player, he's the second person that's running behind the most. The one that's first is Gordon. So it's like, well, it's quite clear what they're trying to do with their team then. So it's like, okay, and then yeah, I don't know. I just think like I see the same with Madueke for us. I feel like he's just there to do one tactical thing, and that's why Arteta loves him. And
Yeah,
like,
true. Gibbs White, overpay, about right?
yeah, 60. I don't. I'm a bit of a Gibbs White hater. I don't think I know a lot of tactical people, and I speak to analysts, and they're like, "No, no, he's good." I've just never been that convinced. I think he's off the ball is amazing, like really, really good. And I do care about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think on the ball for top teams he can be a 10. I think he has to be an 8 personally.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, Basher here said kind of, when you've got that Premier League tax, it's always inflated by about 20% anyway. It's so true.
Yeah.
It always is. So you've got to take that into account. This one, I think this could be a steal. Mohamed Kudus, I think. I mean, I'd love to have him at our club. He's got something, like he's got bite, if that makes sense. He's one of those attacking players that I think defenders can't like playing against. You get certain players, you think they're good players, they're going to cause problems, but they're not nasty. Kudus just doesn't stop. He can play right across the front line. He's got end product. I love watching him. Dual winner. He's a good player. But overpaid, about right.
Honestly, yeah, probably about. It's one of those situations where is Kudus worth 55 mil as a player? Probably. But given the situation at West Ham, he didn't want to be there. They wanted him gone to an extent. Apparently they didn't, but they did it a few months ago. He didn't really want to play for them. Like, I think given that extent, it kind of worked out. I know a lot of West Ham fans are very furious about this price, and they thought they should have got at least a 10 mil more. I know I've spoke to a few, and I get that. I understand that. I do get it, but I think for Tottenham's sake, I think Kudus is a good deal. I actually think they've done a good deal there. I don't think Gibbs White for 60 mil is a good deal, and I don't know if it makes entire sense, but it's Tottenham, and they do what they want, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough. Now this brings me on to my next thing, so hopefully you can see this, Reece. I was thinking about the Noni deal, and I thought my biggest problem is in context. What does it mean for the entire window? In isolation, it's a pretty good player. He gives us lots of different things. And we'll get into in a minute. If we get, let's say, Gyökeres through the door and Madueke, I'm not going to be happy. If it turns out that we end up on, and I don't know, Berta goes on a mad run and we end up with Rodrigo, Gyökeres, Madueke, possibly even Eze, like there are rumours that wasn't even linked to the Madueke signing. If that's the case, I'm over the moon. I'm looking going, well, brilliant. That's the icing on the cake. Someone just to take minutes off of Saka. He's not going to be a starter. Fine. Not a problem. So I started looking through kind of all of the transfers we've already put in and then some of the changes we made. So I'm thinking like Christian Norgard coming in seems to be about a £3 million outlay when you take into account the wages that are getting dropped off from our midfield. Zubimendi was always going to come in. Kepa coming in for about 5 mil instead of Juan Garcia for about 22 mil that Barcelona are paying. Then you look at Mosquera. We've rumoured to have put in a £12 million bid that was rejected, so it might go up to about 15. We had previously looked at Dean Howson, which was 55 mil in the end. So there's a lot of money saved there. And then again with Sesko, 90 million euros wanted, so about 78 million pounds. At the moment, it looks like we're trying to stay just under 60 million and then the add-ons on top of that. Is there a possibility that Berta essentially said, no, we're not paying for, your first choices. We're not going in for a Housen. We're not going in for a Sesko. We're not getting Juan Garcia because we can get relatively good depth in other, through other players and other profiles, then we can get in Madueke with the money that's kind of left over. Is that possible? Or am I kind of just kind of reading way into it and going, reverse engineer all of this? Let's give the club a buy.
I think from my perspective, what's going on is that Arsenal are trying to do, obviously, a lot of deals. We've already signed 3 players, probably 4 with Madueke, and there is still rumours of another, at least 2 coming in. A potential, well, actually, if you count Mascara, 3, and then technically maybe another one. So there's obviously a lot of stuff going on. At the start of the summer, I was saying I'd be hopeful for 3 forwards, and now we're sitting there saying maybe 4. So
Yeah.
I think what is happening is that Arsenal have a set price that they will pay for every position. I don't think it matters who the players are too much. I think they have, we want to pay 60 mil or around that for the base fee for a striker. If it goes over that, we will pivot. And I believe Gyökeres will sign, but I still believe if that goes over 60 million pounds, we will go for a Watkins personally. I think that's what will happen. And I think what is going on is the same with all our positions. And the only reason why we're being so rigid on how much money we want in each position, obviously, is to save money. That makes sense. You don't want to overpay. But also, it makes me think that we are trying to get multiple players in multiple positions. I think with the Madueke deal, we were probably willing to pay about 40 mil. And then because we save money through maybe a Garcia or maybe like a centre back or maybe other option or the striker, maybe Sheshko as well. Maybe that accumulated us to be able to spend an extra 10 mil to get him in now. So we thought we'll do it because we want the player or Arteta wants him. So that's what I'm hoping. It's a very optimistic way of looking at it. And I'm hoping that we are certain of how much we want to pay for a Gyökeres. And then we can use that to get an Eze. And then if we've got money left over, I'm guessing that we have some plans there. Then we can hopefully leeway and sell some players like Trossard's linked. If we get 20 mil for Trossard, by the way, that is an incredible business.
That's good business.
That is incredible business, really good. And then you've got like Zinchenko still going to have to go eventually, like 10 mil you could probably get for him. Vieira could easily be put in like a deal for Eze or someone else, or Palmer might want him for about 20 mil as well, euros, which is being rumoured. And then you still got like Nelson. I'm sure Nelson can go for like 5 mil to a Prem team. He's still a good player. So like with all that wages off the books, I mean, Nelson's on over 100k a week. Like some of these players, even Lokonga, I forgot about him. Like Lokonga's still here. Like we can make money off of these players. And then I think that could maybe leeway into Rodrigo. And I said this earlier on Twitter. I understand the point of saving money, but I think it's been evidently clear this summer that every single team in the Premier League, the big teams, have gone, we need backups everywhere. Yeah. Why did Liverpool spend 120 mil on Wirtz when they have Szoboszlai? Like, who's going to play? You know, is he going to play on the left? Well, they got Diaz at the moment. They don't want to sell him, and Gakpo. You know, you got Man City by loads of players. Tottenham have just bought 2 players that are attackers that kind of play in the same similar roles. Like, I think everyone's realised that even if it costs 50 to 60 mil, you need Premier League experience, you need players in the squad. And I think I don't want us to wait. If Rodrigo's there, we have to get Rodrigo. Yep. I don't think Rodrigo's the perfect fit for the team. I don't think he's the best in the world. But ultimately, when you look at the left wingers on the market, who else is there? Leao, he's not going to come to us. It just doesn't make any sense. Who else? I was looking at this. Malik Fofana, maybe he's an option as a cheaper one. But now Leon want 50 mil for him suddenly because they don't need money is bad. So it's like, I'm looking at all the other deals and like, would I rather spend 50 mil on a 21-year-old Noosa, for example, than a 70 mil on Rodrigo? You just got to get Rodrigo. Like, yeah, 100%. And that's where it comes down to. And I think that's why we're being so careful with our valuations of players. I know people would say, well, Madueke, we weren't. I think, yet again, we probably had 35 to 40 mil, but we were linked to Mbeumo. And Mbeumo, we were willing to pay 50 mil for originally. Yeah. And then that value went up. And Mbeumo is way less able to play on the left side than someone like Madueke. He is just a pure right winger. So like there's obviously must have been in the plan to buy a backup for Saka for this price, I think.
Yeah, and that, like you say, that winger market is just dropping off. With Barcola's not going anywhere. It's quite clear of that. Nico Williams signing a new contract. Semenyo signing a new contract as well. Like it's dwindling quite quickly from the amount of options we had at the beginning of the summer to suddenly, the market's moving and fast in this area anyway. I liked Alex Bainer. I thought he would be a wonderful player, versatile, can play on the left, can play through the middle. He would have been a really interesting shout, but it looks like he's getting Atletico, isn't he? I think
it's done.
Is it done? So
Yeah, I'm
that
pretty sure.
that's another one, off the books that we can't do. Gunnar Millsy, yeah, good shout here. Lookman. For you, Lookman, I mean, if you could get him for a similar price, would you prefer Lookman or would you prefer getting in Madueke?
Do you think it's funny? Do you know what team is linked to Lookman like heavily? It's Atletico Madrid.
Is he really?
Yeah, it is. I haven't kept up on this deal too much, but I know that they were one of the most interested parties on him a couple of weeks ago, when I was doing some research. Lookman's a very interesting option because he. I don't know if he'll leave now. I don't know if there's a deal because originally it was like, well, he's going to leave. He's fell out with Gasparini. Well, Gasparini's gone, so he's already that's like that sort of environment might be better. Atlanta need money. They're not a rich team. They sold Retegu for 65 million euros to Saudi like 2 days ago. So do they need to sell as badly? Is Lookman now their guy? Like he easily could be. I worry about Lookman in the Premier League a lot.
I do.
I've watched him a lot in this league. I think he really does rely on creating space away from players. And I think when he gets maybe roughed up or touched a little bit, even like slightly when he's trying to create a dribble, he struggles a little bit. And I think I think he was good in the Prem, but he was never like an outstanding talent in the Prem. He was just a good Prem player. And I think that wasn't that long ago. It was about 3 years ago. And I think people have probably looked at the space and the specific system he played at Atlanta with the 5-back overlapping player all the time. He gets the space inside. I think a lot of Prem teams won't bother with him. I think there's too many red flags for recruitment teams to go, yeah, no. So like, I think he's a good player, and I think for a 50 mil value, like if you said Lookman, I think that's when you do, oh, maybe 50 mil is a good deal. But like, I don't know if Lookman's what we need either. I
think the problem is, like, I put him into the same category as Madueke, just simply because if you're looking at our left wing, because that's an obvious area where we can improve in the first 11. So I look there and I go, right, which players could I bring in that would immediately improve us? I think Rodrigo does. He's not the perfect profile, but he does improve us. I think you look at Barcola, he would instantly improve us, and he's more of a kind of a plug and play player. Semenyo, I think he would have. Lookman, I don't know. I don't know if he does, and well, to be honest, I don't think he does. I think he improves us in certain areas in terms of getting shots away. He's a player that will actually make the hard decisions. But is he improving on Martinelli and Trossard? I don't think he is. And you're just putting yourself in another position where you already know his ceiling. So that ceiling's not going to get any higher. Whereas you could argue with Madueke for his age, he is going to get better, hopefully. I mean, Gunnar Millsy's gone in. He's just gone 35 max. I don't think you'd be able to even do it for that, but I do agree. Do you know what? That was my valuation for Madueke. It's a 35 million. And this is what's annoyed me about this deal. Chelsea are in desperate need of this deal. They cannot register players. They are going to have problems. And all we've done is good old Uncle Arsenal have come in and gone, don't worry, we'll sort that problem for you, boys. I just don't know why we couldn't have just left it for a while. It's not like a signing where we're desperate to get him in before pre-season because he doesn't know the league. He's got to move to the country. He's got to learn the language and the type of play I just think he could have come in the final week, put the pressure on Chelsea. And that's part of my problem with this deal. So sometimes we're just too nice. I thought Berta would be a bit more cutthroat with this and going, nah. Like it genuinely is starting to make me go, is there some behind the scenes communication between our ownership or something? Like, I'm not suggesting, I know someone suggested that there's like some dark deal where Arsenal have to buy. I'm not suggesting that. But there's something that does worry me where it's like we always go to Chelsea because it's an easy signing. Like the clubs are friendly. It's like a case of like, oh yeah, you can have this player, and oh yeah, we'll pay the amount that you want, and we never really put pressure on it. But the Kepa deal went through so fast that This
Yeah,
one
it was a
seems to be
release clause though.
going. Yeah, this one seems to be going through really quick. It's not like we're trying to convince players and trying to convince the club, and I don't know.
I do
Oh,
think it's what you said though. I think like this is the one team that are actually willing to not be like overly awful to us. I think it is
yeah,
because we are friends with Chelsea. Like
it's
I think it's
weird.
a weird situation because yeah, it is weird. Like I to be honest, I get people's standpoint of we shouldn't have given them the money because they needed to sell, but I mean it's Chelsea. Look how many players they have. They just sold
Yeah.
Pettersson for 25 mil to Bournemouth. They sold 2 players to Strasbourg, their other team, for like 15 mil like yesterday. Like
Mhm.
they'll make money easily. I mean, there's rumors about Nkuku to buy in, and buy need a winger, so that's likely to happen in my opinion now. So like they're always going to make money from their players. They've got 500 players, and I always say this: when Chelsea's system of buying all these players and selling them all, like there's good parts about it and bad parts. Like I think for them, the Madueke part is good because they played him for 2 years. He was relatively all right. Didn't necessarily grow like maybe they wanted, and they got a profit, so it worked out. But not all the players work like that. Like I never saw this same uproar when Arsenal were linked with Andre Santos like 3 weeks ago. No one
Oh,
cared.
mate,
No
I
one
would have
said about
taken him.
yeah, no one mentioned the whole Chelsea thing then. And like I was just like I just think I feel like people sometimes are hiding behind the Chelsea thing to blame this on Madueke because I looked at it and it's like I saw so many people on social media, especially big content creators, that were like, I'm not happy with this Madueke deal. And then a day later or 2 days later, they're like, oh no, it's not the player, it's the deal itself. But I was like, well, that's not what everyone's been saying.
Mm.
Everyone's been saying they've been critical of the player. And then now they've been told by people that are very intelligent in the sport that he's actually a good player.
Yeah.
And I've been saying this for time. Like when I don't know something about someone, I like to look to people who I think know more than me. And I get in football, a lot of people don't have that perception. Everyone in football kind of thinks they know everything, and that is just how it is. Like it just is
I
how
know
it is
nothing.
sometimes. But like I looked at like I don't know if you read like I did loads of research on Madueke. I did a whole thing about him last summer because I'm pretty sure I recommended for Arsenal him to be Saka's backup last summer. When he was like willing to go for about 35 mil and Chelsea didn't want him, and then he scored that hat trick against Wolves and it ruined everything for me. But I didn't even know about the Premier League. Like I didn't even know Arteta liked him or whatever was going on. And then this summer came apart, and like obviously he's just come up recently. And I was just like, yeah, it makes sense. His stats are incredible. Like his underlying numbers are genuinely amazing. He is someone that just gets into the box, into key positions all the time, and he just can't finish it. But ultimately, that's not the hard thing in football. The hard thing in football is get into them areas, especially for our team.
Mhm.
You know, we have no one that really even bothers to take people on half of the time. Like especially against low blocks, you know, we're scared. We go up to them and pass it back. Madueke's not scared. He does not care. He will
No.
try his best. And I think when like I feel like I'm getting the same sort of vibes from Madueke a little bit from a Semenyo, and I really like the Semenyo profile, the
Yeah.
direct, physical player that can be good on the counter. And arguably, Madueke is way better against low blocks than Semenyo has proven. Like Semenyo might be,
Mm.
but we haven't seen it for Bournemouth because he's not really had to play against that sort of system. While for Chelsea, like a game I would recommend watching for anyone is the Chelsea versus Ipswich game last year, where Ipswich is sitting, it's a 2-2 draw. And Madueke is the star of that game by far because every time the ball comes to him, he's so quick to have an action. And I'm just like, I wish we had that in our team sometimes. Like, I feel like, and it's so weird. We'll talk about this summer, but we are adding chaos and quickness to our team. We talk about Eze, we talk about Gyökeres. They're so unlike Arteta. What has
It's
happened? Like,
nice that it's
it,
nice we're addressing it. It's been an obvious like talking point between all the coaching staff and all of the recruitment staff that this is what we need. So the players on our list have to do this, this, and this. You know, they have to be able to like make quick decisions. They've got to be able to get like progress quite quickly. They've got it's really really nice because although they're very different, like the Eze deal seemed to make far more sense to me when I knew it was Gyökeres that it seems like we're going to go ahead for. I suddenly thought, oh, okay, a player that has I think he might be top for shot creating actions from shots that lead to shot creating action. I thought, well, who's the perfect person for that? Gyökeres. He's going to be sniffing around in that area. I look at Madueke, and what's he on? He's on 3.54 shots per 90. So again, it's someone that's willing to have that shot. And I do wonder if that's something that's essentially being tried to be addressed with these buys. I wonder if it'll change the system much, or if it's just a case of, okay, we can bring these players on to change the system at times. I don't feel like Arteta will change his whole philosophy this year, but he always changes certain elements, and maybe it'll be, how do we change the game mid-game? Because that's been a little bit of a problem for Arsenal recently, that once we're in this same kind of zone of, horseshoe shape, passing it back round, can't break down a low block, having problems. What do we do? I can't really bring anyone on. We can't really change what we do. We are going to have very, very different strikers this year. It seems like we're going to have different players in the wide areas. It seems like we're going to have different players that are able to pick up the 10 area as well. The midfield itself is going to change at the base of the midfield. We've got someone who's a complete metronome, able to control it from low spaces. It's going to be really interesting to see. Do you think it's going to change like the whole philosophy? Or do you think it is just a case of like, we can change it at different phases, or if we need to play in a different manner, we can. If we need to play in transition, we can.
Yeah, I think at the start of the season, it will definitely be like, we'll do it if we need to sort of thing. But if it works, I could definitely see him adapting it. I think we will have a big change in our system this year. I mean, you see it with our signings, like we've signed basically any backup we can for every position, which is something I wanted. But I think the club are so frustrated with last season. Like, I do think internally they're probably so annoyed. The injuries and everything that happened. And I think they never want to see that again. And it's not even just about injuries. There is a play style problem as well. Mid and low blocks. I know low blocks aren't necessarily the complete issue, but 2 years ago, we were so good against low blocks. We were thrashing everyone. Last year, we did struggle. I know it's the physical mid block thing and everyone goes, but low blocks as well, we did struggle one. There's some games where we just didn't do anything, and we don't have enough runners and we don't have enough going on. And like, I think there will be a big tactical change. I'm so intrigued because in my eyes, I think Eze's coming to the club. Gibbs White's gone to Tottenham. Xavi Simons is probably going to go to Bayern. Cherky, Man City, Verts, Liverpool. I'm looking at the market and I'm like, it makes sense for Eze to come Arsenal. There's not many options. We make sense. It's okay. But I keep saying this to people that I'm just not sure if I want Eze. Like, I don't like people complaining about the Madueke price. I think we really need to consider the pros and cons of this Eze deal because he is 27 years old. He is older than Odegaard. And if we have to pay £68 million for him, he is not really a starter in my eyes. I said this to my dad earlier. I went, well, you don't really look like that anymore. You look at the fact you've got squads and, you've got 6 other midfielders and they come in for different games. But do we want a specific player to break down low blocks for 68 mil? Is that if that is how it is, then that is how it is. I don't hate it. I love Eze. I think it'd be great. But I'm really finding it hard to fit him in some games because he will play left centre mid sometimes with Rice, but then is Rice going to go out of the team? Arguably our biggest engine in the team. So he needs to be there somewhere, I would argue. Then is he going to play left wing? If a Rodrigo comes in, that's probably even less likely for him to play there. Is he going to play on the right centre mid or with Odegaard or in attacking midfield instead of Odegaard? Well, we've got Waneri who can also play there. So for me, it's just like, I don't know. And I also look at it and I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know if it makes complete sense to do it as a long term. And I know if anyone listens to the transfer flow, who are very much like Ted Newson on there and Patrick Van Straten, obviously they are Arsenal fans, but they talk very like, about data and stuff like that. And they said fully that they think Madueke is a better use of the finances than Eze. And I was like, when they said that, I was like, what? I knew they were going to say that because I've watched him for years and I kind of know where Patrick stands on Madueke. I know he loves him. And I knew he loved him anyway. But I thought that, like, yeah, I kind of agree. I don't really care about the finances too much. I'm not that bold about the Madueke deal, to be honest, about the finances. It depends what we do in the rest of the market, I guess. But Eze doesn't make as much sense, I feel like. And I don't even think from a squad construction sense it makes much sense. I think having a 23-year-old right winger that can play left winger I mean, we'll get into that in a sec. We'll get into the fact he might be able to play left winger, maybe. I think that makes a little bit more sense, but I don't know. I think we should discuss Eze or Rodrigo in a bit, but we'll do Madueke.
Yeah, should we go on to this then? So, you already, you read my mind, mate. So, Madueke stats last season. So, as a right winger, 26 starts as opposed to on the left, 7 starts, which is actually more than I thought he had. I thought he had just literally like 2 or 3, but there we go.
11
Um,
career games he's played at left wing. 7 were last season.
interesting. I didn't know that. Look at you. You know all of this. Then obviously the goals scored, assists all from the right wing, but it's such a small sample size on the left wing. It's annoying that we don't have the amount of minutes
He's created
there
a lot of
that I would have loved
chances.
to have seen him. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Big
and
chances
that's the
created,
thing.
0. Wow.
Um,
Nah, yeah, like, yeah.
I mean, how much can you really read from that? I don't really know. When it is 7 starts in total, I don't really know. But attacking threat, and this is part of the reason, the shot ending carries first. Then you're looking shots 3.52. I said that earlier. I mean, FBref got a 3.54, but much in the same. So 10th in the Premier League. So this is someone that's almost like anti Arteta recruitment at times, but in terms of like not trying to retain the ball, going forwards, having that final action. I don't know. Maybe it's the thing that we do need. Maybe it's a case of we're just looking at the profile. What are we missing? Let's get it in. And we're just trying to plug the gaps in that way. I mentioned it previously. When you look at a lot of our recruitment, we often look at it as we're buying Rice, he's a 6. We're buying Ben White, he's a centre back. We're buying. I don't think the club are looking at it that way. I think a lot of the time they look at what are we missing in physicality, what are we missing skills wise, what can this player give us, and essentially, tick tick tick. We are getting this from Madueke. That's fine. Can he play on the left? Yeah. Can he play on the right? Yeah. Fine. Get him in. Not a problem. And maybe that's the way forward. So Basher said here, Arteta needs to give those new players or profiles enough room in order for us to best utilise them, though. Thoughts, Reece?
What was that? Sorry, you lagged.
Sorry. Oh, did I lag? Sorry. So Basher was just saying Arteta needs to give those new profiles or players enough freedom in order us to best utilise them.
Yeah, I do agree. I think when you look at the people like Madueke, like Gyökeres, they're not going to be great in a restricted system,
Yeah.
and they need to be basically allowed to do what they need. And I have personally not been. I don't think Madueke is a left winger, and this is why on Twitter I've been very outspoken saying that I think he is coming in to be Saka backup, which is why I don't mind it as much as some people. I understand if we don't buy a left winger and he is the left winger, concerns there. But then I still think Eze, if he comes in, will play left wing a lot more. That's just kind of what I think. But like I have spoken to some people that are very much more knowledgeable than me, and they have said that he has the I don't know, there's some nuance about him that he is good on left wing. Like he hasn't played there huge amounts in his career, but there's something about him. He has this ability to be good. I know he's left footed, but I don't know. It's this whole like I know people are gonna link it to Rafinha and him going out there and all that
Oh,
and
that would be
stuff.
nice, wouldn't
But
it?
and I do think what I do think is quite funny. If you look at there's loads of stuff to this. I think Scott Willis did a piece on this, but if it Madueke, if you compare his stats to Rafinha when he was at Leeds the season before he went to Barca, they are eerily similar, like really similar. Other than the fact Madueke is much more of like a shot player and a carrier sometimes, and then Rafinha's a bit better in the box, a bit better clinical. But like if you looked at their like XG and stuff, it's all the same. I think Madueke is actually a little bit higher.
Oh.
And like non-penalty goals per 90 is higher. And like there's actually like a lot of similarities in how they would fit and how they would kind of work. And I do think he can play on the left. Like people will yet again judge Madueke because aesthetically he isn't a great, like he doesn't look like a great dribbler. He's lanky, doesn't look great, but he is an incredible dribbler. He really is a great dribbler. Just doesn't look great doing it sometimes. And I feel like the more you look into this transfer, the more it makes sense. Like Arsenal clearly wanted a backup for Saka, and I think that
Yeah.
is evidently clear that we needed one. And I think if you look at the market, who is actually available? Like I'm looking at Bakayoko right now, 20 million euros. Oh, that would have been a good deal. 5 clubs are in for him: Leipzig, Leverkusen, Everton, Forest, and Bournemouth. They're all them teams are going to give him guaranteed starts. I mean, not the Forest are in Europe, and they're going to give him a start at right wing with Alanga leaving. he's going to go there over being a bench player. Not many players are going to come to Arsenal and sit behind a top 3 right winger in the world, which is Bukayo Saka. That is just
Yeah.
like unfortunate with it, and that's why like a Kudus would have made sense in terms of the versatility. Even then, he's more of a right winger than anywhere else, and that still would have caused problems. So, like when I look at that, I'm just like, yeah, I think his wages are incredibly cheap. Market value is probably about how much you would pay for a Prem player with Prem tax involved. And he's good. Like, he's a good player. And I've spoken to so many analysts. I've read loads of pieces on him. I've done so much research. And the common conception in the industry right now is that he is a guy that is going to score a lot of goals. He's not the best like creator in the world. He's not the best link-up player. His decision making's poor. But if he can just sort out some small little things of his finishing, people think he's going to be like 20 goal a season player, which is incredible for a winger to have. And looking at some of where he took his shots last year, it looked like he was getting more unlucky than being a bad finisher, which a lot of people have also said. So I can see why Arsenal have taken the risk, and I can see why. Like, it seems like he's an Arteta guy, and I can see why Arteta like wanted him to come in.
Are we? What are we saying? Like, let's just go through the players. We weren't going to do this, but you know I always like to throw a spanner in the works. So let's go through players that we are assuming will join the club. Assumption in the transfer window might not always be the best thing, but let's try it. So if we get in, say, Kepa, Zubimendi, Mosquera. Oh, let me bring up. Hang on. Let me bring up my little transfer window thing a minute. Let's bring this one up. Some of them are on here. So Zubimendi, Norgard, Kepa. And then if we say Mosquera, Gyökeres, are we actually assuming Rodrigo's coming in? Let's just do it. Rodrigo. Noni. Are we just going mad and just putting Eze in here as well? Let's just do it. I'm doing it. He's in there as well. We've had a mad summer. Okay. Out of 10, okay, so 10 being they are unbelievable. They go way and above our expectations of the player. Just in terms of these signings, how good they will be. So let's start off with, first of all, Martin Zubimendi. How good a signing is that going to be?
9 or 10.
I'm so glad you said that.
So good for the price. For the price, I think it's one of the best. Maybe a little bit biased, but I think given the fact the defensive midfield market is crazy, he's an incredible deal. Incredible. I was saying to my dad today, I was like, this guy's going to change the world. He's that good.
He's going to change the world.
Yep.
I just love the way yeah, that's it. Tom's clapping back. He's saying Rodrigo isn't coming in. Have faith. Tom, tell us who you think is going to come in. Just put your list. Who you think is going to come in. Please do it. Right, next one. Christian Norgard. Where are you putting that? Because I would say most people's kind of expectations are tempered with this one. They're not, they're just, I think a lot, well, maybe 50%. Maybe it's half and a half split. Maybe 60-40 or something. From what I've seen is most people don't think this is going to be a great deal. I think it's fine. 700 minutes did Jorginho play last year. We just know Zubimendi's coming in to do this. And I don't think this is like a long-term deal. This is almost like a tie-over while we try to work out who is going to come in long-term. Go on, give us a rating.
I think given the squad construction, like it is genuinely an 8 out of 10 signing, given the fact we had like a week to do it. For his impact on the team, it's probably going to be like a 5 or 6. But like I said this on Twitter earlier, that you can't wait for players and you need to be there when these players blow up. So getting a stopgap option now, which was cheaper than the wages we got rid of anyway, is absolutely fine. There's Bouadi coming through in January. You could get him. I mean, Aguame's still there if he stays at Seville. There's options in the DM market. I'm not that worried about it. So, I mean, also for his interview today with his son, and he's crying with the thing, like feel good moment makes me happy. I'm happy he's at the club. Like, he wanted to play in the Champions League, thought his dream was over, and you know, we're obviously not going to speak about it, but the domino effect for him to play at Arsenal is probably the most mental domino
Oh,
effect
it's
in the world.
insane.
But and so like that's crazy to even think about. But I'm like happy, like he just seems like he deserves it, and he is actually really good. Like, I maybe underrated him as well when I first spoke about him, but yeah.
Controversial take here. All right. Hot take. For this hot take. I'm going in. Here we go. Hot take. This is the closest signing we have done to when Mikel Arteta came to the club. And I can see Christian Norgard becoming a Premier League manager in the next kind of 10 years and doing well. There we go. There's my hot take.
Yeah.
Remember this.
Can I just say, like, it's so funny looking at all the players that we're linked to, and they all fit in 3 categories. And we only sign players that are either Spanish or Brazilian or from La Liga, like Scandinavian or English. So yeah, it's the only
Yeah, that's so
category
true.
we seem the only ones we bother now. It's so weird. Like,
Do you reckon they check passport straight away? Sorry, Basque region? No. English? No. Have you got guard in
what if
your
anyone's
name?
well, if anyone's ever played FM, like, obviously social groups and core groups are a big part of that. And I do know
Oh,
that is a big part of building a squad in real life. Like, I do know you don't want people that are so, like, different to everyone else. You want people
yeah.
to at least fit into a core group. But it is weird how like we have kind of fit into these categories. And I don't think it's a coincidence. I think we intentionally go out of the idea of doing that now. Like, maybe not like in all the time. Like, obviously we wanted Sheshko, he's the main guy. Like, he doesn't fit these categories like necessary, so let's get him in. But I think when it comes to, like, at least Arteta, he loves the Spanish Basque player. And like, he
Yeah.
loves them. Like, he cannot stop himself on buying his region better.
Fine by me. Fine by me. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
they're
go. Let's go next one. Kepa. What are we saying for Kepa? 5 for me. I just think it's like,
It'll be better than Neto and Matty Ryan.
yeah,
And
that is
Gunnison.
true.
And,
I think it's
um,
just, to me, it's
I-
almost like a
I'm
nothing
a bit of a
signing.
hater of Kepa, and now he's at Arsenal, so it's kind of funny. But that's that's my guy now. That's my guy now. So
That's you
I
guy.
don't even know how much is he. Oh, like, nah, he'll be all right. Like, I think like I could easily see him, like, say Rye's injured, him stepping on for a game and having some like crazy performance, like, and be like, everyone's like, wow, where's this come from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not going to play much. And when he does, at least I know he's not going to tear out of goal and almost handball it outside the area. So, fine.
Hopefully
the other
he's a
thing
nice
is-
guy backstage. That's the
Yeah,
main
I
thing.
think he's had, good experience now. Being at Chelsea with the deal that had originally gone through for him was immense pressure. And I don't think he really dealt with it at the time as well as he could have. And then going on to Real Madrid and then eventually going off to, other Premier League clubs. I think he's done quite well. I'm hoping he's kind of matured over the time. I mean, Goon and Millsy is saying that Kepa is still Chelsea's best keeper. Do you know what? I might not even argue with that. There we go. But he's ours now, so.
Well, it's funny because Chelsea's best keeper was Petrovic, but they just sold him. So make it make sense. Make it
That
make
is
sense.
nuts,
He's their
isn't
best
it?
keeper. I said multiple times this summer that if we needed a backup keeper, we could just get Petrovic. I know he's like 25 mil in the end, but he's a great keeper. I do think it's
Yeah.
funny. We've now got the most expensive goalkeeper in the world, and he probably will be the most expensive keeper forever. I don't see anyone spending over 70 mil on a keeper again. Just on our
Yeah.
bench.
I mean, Basha, please don't. Like, I think you're tempting fate here. Do you know what? I did this last year. So last summer, I was on Football's 12th Man, and everyone was going on about, who they want, who we need. And so I said, well, one thing we do need is obvious backup for Martin Odegaard. And I think at the time he'd only ever missed like 7 games through injury, or maybe it was 3 games at the time. But so I just get this horrible feeling it's going to happen, and I don't know if Arteta will trust Waneri to come in. So I don't know what will happen if Havertz will play as the 10, or if Trossard will go in there or something. And lo and behold, what happens? Odegaard gets injured, and the whole of this season I've blamed myself on that, which is really weird. So, Basher, I'm coming for you. If David Raya is injured for like 6 months, it's on you. It's on you. It's not really. Don't worry, Bash. So, next one. Mascara, if he comes in. This is an interesting one because I'm actually quite excited about this. It's a player I really like. He kind of makes me feel that we've almost got Kivior. This is going to sound really outrageous now. Kivior is more in the Saliba mold, and Mascara is more in the Gabriel mold. Does that kind of make sense? I am not for any second, before this is taken out of context, saying Kivior is the left-sided version of Saliba. He is going to be that world class. That's not what I'm saying. All right.
Well, some would argue Kivior played better than Saliba in the last end of the season. I don't know who argued that though. I don't know.
Is that your argument? That's what I've just heard.
Well, I did mention it before, and you were like, "Oh, I don't know," and I was like, "I don't know." Low-key might have.
Oh, so Saliba just play Kivior.
Mascara is super aggressive. Like, I think that is what we're missing in our defense about Gabriel. So I'm happy about that. It's weird though, because I did see someone say this and I thought, yeah, that's a good point actually. Arsenal are linked to Gyökeres, Madueke, Eze, Mascara, 4 players that aren't that good in the air. What's going on? Where's Corner FC going? Where's Corner FC going? We're gonna score no corner goals.
I haven't even thought about that. That's really interesting.
Yeah, that is weird because Mascara is very profile-wise exactly what I want as a backup for Saliba because he's the Gabriel type and he can play on both sides. But he isn't good in the air, which is weird because that is quite a fundamental part of how we play. And Kivior's not amazing in the air, but I think he's okay. So if you play Kivior and Mascara, Kivior would be the one that was heading the balls, but then Mascara's the more aggressive one. So it's like, I guess them two wouldn't play together much, but it's a bit weird. But yeah, I do. And I guess if you are to play a Mascara alongside a Gabriel, which is weird when they're both really, really aggressive, but I guess that works a little bit more airily there. I don't know. It's just a weird. It's weird. It's one of them silence where it's like it's not that deep. He's a backup. It's gonna be fun. He's super young and got loads of potential. So we can have all we can do is have fun with it.
Played both sides, hasn't he? Because of injuries.
Yeah.
So, because I don't think he was originally starting that much, and then due to injuries he came in. So he has played left centre back and right centre back, which is really nice. Bit of versatility.
And it seems to be the thing, doesn't it? Like he's played I think he's played with I remember this was Ribeiro from Lille. His passing was 47% right foot, 52% left foot, which I thought was insane. And I think Mascara's is quite similar. It's 55 and 45 or something like that. From at least deeper line breaking passes through the first line. So they're not amazing 100-yard passes, but 10, 15-yard passes, he's pretty capable of doing it on both feet. So I mean that just seems to be the new centre back thing. Howson's the same as well. That's clearly what we wanted. We wanted the 2-foot centre back. So fair enough. We go get one.
Yeah, fine. I had visions a minute ago. You know when you said about headers, because it hadn't even occurred to me. For Gyökeres, I had thought about, in isolation, just thinking about the individual player and thinking about, okay, what are their capabilities, what are they good at, what would they need improving at. I don't want to say what are they bad at, but there we go. There's the kind of education kind of side of me coming out. Don't say someone's got something bad, so they've got something to improve on. I'm just imagining Arteta just sitting down to watch training. It's set piece training, and all the new transfers are on one team, and all the old guard on the other team, and it's just an absolute demolition job. And him just sitting there crying, "Oh, what have I done?" Anyway, next one. Did we give Mascara a number?
What we basing it on? We basing the whole signing or just next season?
The whole signing, I think. I think it'll be a 7. I don't think he's going to come in and usurp either of our centre back pairing.
It's the most. Yeah.
He could take over if one had to leave. God forbid that ever happens.
Please, no.
But I think he could be a very, very good deputy at both sides. And also, if he moved on, I imagine that's the type of player that we could finally maybe get a profit on. So, especially considering how much we seem
It's
to be
one of
getting
them
it for.
deals. People talk about the Brighton deals all the time. This is just a Brighton deal.
Yeah.
Like ultimately, he can't start, but he's so young. He's got potential. He's got is just like he's just going to keep growing and get better. He could turn out to be a Lokonga signing and not work out, or like a Tavares. We spent only like 7 million on Tavares, but it could be like a cheap sign that doesn't work out. But he also could be a player that ends up working out really in the future. I think it's like fine. You take the risks on these sort of players. This is like what you would want the club to spend money on. So it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, and this, Kepa, Mosquera, Norgard for 30 million is a stroke of genius.
It is.
It is
But this
great
is what I
spending.
mean. Our business this summer so far has actually been good, I think. But obviously the forwards are the problem, and we know that Arsenal may struggle a bit with the forwards. I do want to say quickly, like I watched the Norgard video today where he's behind the scenes,
Mm-hmm.
and when you watch the behind the scenes videos before with Edu's so friendly and he's like, hi. Butter is like scary. I would not want to talk to Butter. He just went straight away. He went to Norgard like, oh hi, and he went like, oh, he was like, big task, isn't it? And then Norgard's like, yeah, but I'm up for it. That's such a weird thing to say to someone.
There's like a weird like mafia vibe I get from him. Do you know what I mean? It's like his shades
he
as
gives
well
you
and
so
stuff. I look
much.
and I go, oh, yeah, you're gonna drive a hard bargain.
It's
I quite like
so
it though.
funny as well. Like Albert Sveinberg, obviously the assistant manager, was there, and he's like so like loud, and he's like going up to Norgard, and then just Bert's just like stone cold, just hugs him and goes, "Yeah." It's just like it makes me laugh so much. It's like it's such a weird thing. It must be so weird sided, and he's just there. But it's like...
I mean, if it works, it works. It's all good with me. Right, next one, Gyökeres. Or Gyökeres, or Gokeres, or Glockeres, or, the Swedish dude. Yeah, Bane.
I can't lie, the celebration is so
love
cool.
That. I'm excited about
It's
that.
cool enough. I just signed up for that. Let's get him in just for the celebration.
Oh, we should do that. We should make an 11 at some point just on celebrations alone. Gyökeres, I mean, say if it is 60 million or less, add-ons, which is always going to happen with any deal now. It seems like you can't just get a flat rate deal anymore. If we get closer to the title, if we get the title, it's going to be worth his weight in gold. If he doesn't really play much and we end up having to use Havertz for the whole season, and I mean, the price isn't bad. When originally people were talking about, 90 or 80 million, and, we were never going to spend that on him. I think it could go either way, this deal. Like, it really could. I'm behind it now. Like, I think if this deal goes through, I am not going to be one of the people going, I hate this deal. Like, I wanted Sesko. I understood why Sesko was probably the better profile and the better kind of person to come in to suit our style. Having said that, maybe that's just not what we need. Maybe we need to listen to like a Berta who's had an incredible record with forwards, may I add, and has seen what it takes for forwards to have good success in Europe. And maybe that's just what we need. Someone different, someone that can go in transition, someone that's going to have high volumes of shots, someone that's able to kind of make space for himself. But completely different mold to Havertz, but maybe that's what we need. I mean, I'd love to just go, it's gonna be a 10. Do you know what I mean? I'd love to have the confidence to go, it's gonna be a 10. He's gonna just be doing this every week. His goal record's going to be the same as it was in Portugal. He's going to start breaking records over here. He's going to hit 100 goals in 2 seasons, and I just don't know if it will.
This is like, in my eyes, this is the most like I just don't know what to expect at all from Gyökeres. Everyone else, I kind of understand. Okay, I don't know if MADUEKE is going to turn into this great player, but he definitely can do. Or you could say about the same. I kind of know what I'm going to get from him at least next season. I've no idea what I'm going to get from Gyökeres. I have watched
Mm.
an unholy amount of hours on him. Like genuinely, I've watched like I've spent days watching this guy like play. Like I've watched so much footage of this guy play. It's unreal that I just don't ever want to like watch him again for some reason. And I've spoke about him so much, and I just think that like I said this a lot. I've said that if we get him for about 60 mil, even if we've had to pay 10 mil extra because Sporting screwed us over, like I'm not going to blame the club. Yeah, that's just Sporting. That's their own fault. That's just what it is. Sometimes these clubs are like that. But if we never do any business with Sporting again, it's fine. You know, screw them. But I do think like when I look at this Gyökeres deal overall, like if we don't want to say it's 58 mil up front and then we pay like 12 mil in add-ons or something like that, and that ends up being what like 20 mil cheaper than the Šeško deal, I am 100% with the club that that is probably a better use of finances if we go out and buy like an Eze or Rodrigo or whatever happens
Mhm.
in other positions. Like I think that I am completely with the club that I respect that decision. Also, I think what people sometimes don't understand is that we can't just go back to Leipzig now and be like, oh yeah, let's pay the money because that makes us look weak in the market. And this is the problem with Man United. This is why every club goes to Man United and goes, yeah, well, what 100 million? It's why every club scams them because they know they're weak. They just cave in. They do it all the time. They've done it. They've done it for over 10 years. So like you can't sometimes do that. And sometimes business is unfortunately more important. And
Are
the of
selling.
then
Prime
yeah, to,
example of it.
yeah, yeah, it's sometimes more important to keep the stature of the club and make us respected and seen as a big giant than just a team that caves in because we can't get things done. I also think, like we spoke about it, Gyökeres, I just don't know. I just don't know what to think with Gyökeres. In my video I did about how we can get the best out of him. I said
Mhm.
that realistically, the best you get out of him is in a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-2-2, whatever. I think with Havertz up front, I think he would play better with Havertz than any of the other players. Maybe an Eze, but obviously Eze hadn't come in, so I didn't want to like put him. Oh yeah, Eze would be better if he's in it because he's not in the team at the moment. But I thought with an Odegaard, I just can't really see it working. I think the angles
Mhm.
as well. Odegaard's a right-sided player. Gyökeres prefers running from the left, so I don't know if I particularly like that too much. Eze would make a lot more sense, I think, if
Yeah.
he'd come in. But there's something about Gyökeres. I do videos on tactics and all this, but I wasn't a tactical guy. Like before I started YouTube, I just liked football for what it was. I cared more about this sort of side to it, the transfers, how things worked, than this tactical thing. And I am a guy that cares a lot of, I'm an emotional person and I care a lot about vibes and when you feel like something's right. And I felt like with the Šeško situation, for how many years we've been doing this, it wasn't right. It just something weren't working in my head that it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like he was trying hard enough. It didn't feel like it's coming. And I don't think players should have to force a move for clubs to let him to go. Clubs should just, be normal and do what they
Mhm.
said. But honestly, like the reaction I know a lot of the Gyökeres stuff is media driven, and I know his agents have definitely said some stuff that maybe is not true. Maybe he's not even going to pay that 2 mil. Maybe that was just his agent saying it because they want the deal to happen. That's fair enough to consider. But it's evidently clear he wants to come to Arsenal. He has not turned up to Sporting. He has stood on business to come here. And I have read a lot about his career and his
Just needs an
upbringing
extra
and how
holiday. That's all.
exactly. He's in Greece, loving his time. Maybe he didn't want to. Maybe he wanted to enjoy it still. I just think like his upbringing and where he's come from. He was in a very famous academy in Sweden, and he was seen as like the seventh best talent in that academy. Kudeveski was there. Like there was many other talents there, and he just wasn't ever considered to be that special. And he was 23 years old, like at Brighton, not getting played. And I remember I watched him because he was so good. I did a Brighton FM save in FM 20, FM 21, and he was in my
Can I
team
just
because he was
ask
really good.
why?
Oh, because every year I do different. I've done the whole
Oh,
pram,
okay,
so I
okay,
was like,
right. I was
I
really
thought
like
that would
just
be
trying to
fun.
connect the dots there. Okay, continue. Sorry.
And like I had Gyökeres was part of my team, and at the time I was like, "Who is this guy?" He was on loan. I think maybe it was Coventry, maybe it's another team. I think it was Coventry. He was on loan in the Championship, but
Mm.
he came back on loan, and I was like, "This guy's weird. He's like massive. Who is this guy?" And then I was like, "He's quite good on FM that year. Not amazing. He was okay. I think I played him a few times." And then I was like, "I want to watch this guy in real life. I want to see like what he's about." And I remember in 2021, I think he played a cup game for Brighton. It might be the only game he ever played for Brighton. It might be a Carabao Cup game or something like that. And I watched him. I watched the highlights of it, and I was just like, "This guy's massive. Like, who is he? Where's this guy come from? Like, he's 23. He's not like young. Like,
Yeah.
he's Swedish. He just turned up." And I was like, it's probably like this was the start of Brighton like signing youngsters all the time. Like, at that time, they weren't established like they are now. And then like at Coventry, I watched him loads. I watched that Sunderland game where everyone goes on about that goal he scored, where he picks it up in the midfield, runs past 3 players, puts it in the
Yeah.
corner. I watched the playoff final where he got an assist for Hamer, who got the goal. He then went to Sheffield, and I thought Gyökeres was really good in that game as well. And like when he went to, I remember I was trying to get into graphic design. That year, I was trying to do all these graphic designs, and I made a little graphic design of him going to Everton. I did a little shirt swap. I was trying to learn at the time. That seemed like the rumours that was going to happen. Gyökeres to Everton. He was incredible in the Championship. It made sense. I thought it made sense. And then he went to Sporting, and it just like for 17 mil, whatever it was, it caught me off guard. And then I was like, that's such a weird signing for the Portuguese legendary team to make from a Championship team. I don't know. Does it? And now apparently they're all making them because Borja signed some Norwich. It's just gone to Porto. But like, it just seems so weird. And then like his whole career, he's been like basically disregarded his entire career, and he's worked his way to the top. He's the reason why he's here, and we're even talking about him is because of him. It's not because he's got technical ability. It's not because he's naturally gifted. He isn't. He is a massive guy. He is. I said this to my dad. I was like, when I say players are big, you see them. Like Madueke is quite a big guy. He can dominate, but like he isn't like massive. He's still lean. Gyökeres isn't lean. He is massive. He's a big guy. And I was like, when I watch him, like he is clunky. He makes mistakes sometimes. He doesn't make the right decisions, but he just scores. And like, I don't care sometimes about the league because I think there is so much resilience and determination within his mental attributes that it doesn't matter sometimes. We have enough quality around him that he did. Like people don't count this as well. Like, yes, he was playing against easier teams, but also Sporting's team overall is not as good as Arsenal. He won't get his chances he will at Arsenal. He won't have the chances. And people talk about, oh, he's not good against low blocks. He hasn't played against low blocks that much. It's hard to judge a player that we just don't know. Like, we just don't know. We haven't seen it at all. And people don't care about Brentford players that like maybe you're like that, or Crystal Palace. Eze, for example, doesn't play against low blocks. Like people are completely fine to look away from that. So I look at this and I just go like, in my eyes, I think I'm 100% down for this signing. I want him to come to the club now because he showed that he wants to play for us.
Yeah.
And he won't start every game. I need people to realize that like he isn't going to be that star striker. He is going to be sometimes a squad player, sometimes the impact sub. You know, Havertz is still going to play a lot, but he will bring something, I think, mentally. Like Adam Cleary said this on his video, but he said like in the last minute of when Arsenal played Everton, when we drew 0-0, you know, the ball rolled to Pickford and none of the Arsenal players moved. They all just threw their hands up and were like, that's it. Gyökeres will be there demanding it. And I think that's a long rant about his entire career.
Mate, I love it. You get me gassed about it. It's like
I
rewatched our game against Sporting because, you know, like when you watch something live, especially when you're emotionally invested in it, you kind of have different takeaways. I sometimes have to rewatch stuff, which is great when I go on the Cannon podcast for an instant reaction, because sometimes I'm the one at Alex before it's like, you right? Yeah, just double checking before you go live. But rewatching that game, he had a far better performance than I actually remembered. I thought originally that we completely pocketed him. I thought, well, I don't remember him giving us any particular, troubles. But you look at the end of that game when he goes through and then he hits the post, absolutely rifles the ball. I think we were like, what was the score at the time? Was it like 4-1?
5-1.
Like,
it was in the
5-1
like 4 minutes left. Yeah.
And so you just go, who do you know that is going like that at that point in the game? Most people will just go, game's done, relax now. He is obsessed with scoring goals. He doesn't care if it's a good goal, if it's, like an absolute worldie, if it's a scrappy goal. He doesn't care if he runs through and dribbles past 3 players or if he just bounces off someone. He just wants to score. And I absolutely love that. It like takes me back to like the feeling of being a youth player and being like, that's all I want to do. That's it. And he's just got that inbuilt kind of nature of just, let's just score goals. Goals win games, and that's his deal. I also, love the fact that he's said, I don't want United. I don't want to go with my old manager. I don't want to stay here. I'm not going to go for training. Sort it out. And I love that he hasn't kind of gone against his own morals and his own kind of dreams, and he obviously knows. And the Sesko thing, there were rumours of him wanting a release clause. There were rumours of him essentially asking, how many minutes am I going to play? I can't imagine Gyökeres would do that. I think he'll look at this as an opportunity and go, I'm going to play all the games. I don't care what Havertz has done or the reputation that he currently has across Europe, or that's my position and I'm coming in to take it. And it's just that slight difference that I'm quite excited about. And you kind of look, here's the old man in me. You kind of look at the real old Arsenal title winning teams. We were full of players like that. Thierry Henry had big strops. People forget this. He had strops all the time. If he wasn't receiving the ball, if he wasn't able to score, and he never stopped. And he demanded the best from the players. And I think Gyökeres will be doing that. Regardless of how good he is technically, he's going to be expecting the ball perfect every time into him. He's going to expect everyone to be pressing like over and over and over again. He's going to be expecting people to have shots at the end of the game and that's a little bit of a mentality shift that we kind of need. I think sometimes we're really good at high expectations of our play. I feel that sometimes we take the easy way out when it's the last 5 minutes and we don't have that relentlessness about us. And he does. He definitely does. So it's going to be interesting. I think Madueke, in his own way, it's slightly different, but I think he's got that idea of, I'm going to create separation, I'm going to shoot. I'm just going to go for it. So, it's interesting.
Even mentally, Madueke is very similar. Like, Madueke is a little bit inconsistent, and when he's on poor form, he really does sometimes get to him, and maybe the effort levels aren't as great. But he is a player that every time you watch for Chelsea, they need a goal in the last minute. He's give me the ball, I'm running at them, I'm shooting. Sometimes maybe not the best decision, maybe you should pass it, but he is a player that is so intent of like, I need to win, I need to do this. And people need to realise that I think any player deserves praise if they come into a team like Arsenal, they see Saka there, they see the fact that we're linked to an Eze or Rodrigo, and he believes he's good enough to get into this team. Like a lot of players like Bakayoko are not up for it. Madueke, this is the thing about Madueke. He is like, the fact he basically had 2 conversations with Arteta and was convinced, and apparently Arteta was also convinced that he has the mental capacity to compete. And I've heard loads of great reports about him mentally and how he is as a person. And like, yes, sometimes he does pull a bit of a strop. Madueke is a common example of someone that pulls a strop. He does it a lot, but he does it because he wants to win and he wants to have the ball and wants to run at people. He isn't going to shy away. And one of the big problems I've had with Odegaard last year, Martinelli, they do shy away sometimes. Odegaard's our captain and not mentally doesn't shy away, but sometimes, I remember George said this once and I always remember it, that I think we played Bournemouth or someone we played. It might have been the Bournemouth game where we lost at the Emirates, and we had a run on the break. And okay, yeah, Odegaard doesn't like making them runs, but no one else was there and he shied away and jumped back and we had no one in the box, attack ruined. Madueke's not going to be like that. He's going to run in the middle. Eze arguably is going to be like that as well. Like, I think genuinely there was a clear mentality shift between Berta and the players that we're getting, I think. And like, there's now more, I think at least the thing that we can all be happy about this is that there's going to be more, like, we're going to actually want to win games. We're not going to be drawing 14 games a season being like, we're not even trying. At least if we don't win games, we'll feel like our team have done as much as possible. And I felt like the last year, the main person of that was Trossard. Trossard was the only person late on games that really would try. And then like, bless him, he's just kind of limited. Like, I get Gyökeres is limited as well, but look, Gyökeres is incredibly quick over long stretches. And I read a stat about his runs in behind. They are like insane. He runs so much in behind. I've said a lot of times that the striker doesn't need to do that much. Just run in behind, be alert in the box and shoot be a good shoot player. Like, I don't care about all the other stuff, like, at this point. And like, I don't know, like, this is why, like, people I get people are negative because we haven't done what they wanted right now. I don't know. Maybe it's the optimism in me, but I've been pretty excited with what I've been hearing and seeing. So,
which is nice. It's nice to be that way. Like, this is like a summer of, you're not going to get the perfect signing, but you just got to get the perfect deal for you in the market, and the kind of the right gap filler in profiles. That's all we've got to do. Just try and get players in that give us something different. Because the ideal thing for me, I think the ideal touchline winger is probably a Barcola, but it's just never going to happen, and that's the way it is. And you look at Rodrigo, and I go, if we can get him, he's not the perfect one, but he's damn good. And if you want to switch things up and Saka goes out for 6 months or whatever it is, well, in that case, then you've got an idea of, well, does Madueke go out there, or does Martinelli go out there, or can Rodrigo come over to the right? It's really interesting. So from that standpoint, I think it's a good signing, Gyökeres. It's not the perfect one for me. It would have been Osman. It's not going to happen. So
he's going Gala. Looks like Gala's just put the money on the table apparently, like 20 minutes ago.
That's insane, isn't it? How much was it? Was it 70?
75 million euros. Yeah, and that's not even considering the wages, which is the big problem. Yeah, the big problem.
And we're never in a million years going to do that, which is a real shame that he's kind of stuck to his guns. I get it, but mate,
the striker market is just tough. Like, we're not the only team in this market. Like, Chelsea, yeah, they've got Delap. They want to get rid of Jackson. I think Jackson will be like, people will want him, but Jackson, in my opinion, Jackson will go for about 50 to 60 mil. People will be like, well, that's crazy, but he will. He's experienced Premier League player. That's good. Like, I'm looking at United. They wanted Ekatike still on the table, 100 mil. Like, Šeško, I don't know if he's going to move. You've got so many deals going. Liverpool want to get rid of Nunez and get another striker in. Hopefully, it's not Isak. But like, I don't know what's going to happen. I will say as well, like, I think if Arsenal, this is what I think is going to happen this summer. This is not true. This is my opinion for someone that is chronically online and never.
Hang on. Let me see if I can do this. Go for it.
So I think the idea is we get Madueke in, we get Gyökeres in. I think that's what's expected. I think we look at Eze, we speak to Eze, we try and get a deal done. I don't know if we do that straight away or we wait a little bit. Maybe we wait a little bit. I think what we do is we're going to wait for Rodrigo. We're going to see the decision from Rodrigo next week. If Rodrigo makes a decision, I think we'll probably go for him over Eze if that's the case. But if Rodrigo comes out next week and goes, I want to stay, I think we'll even pivot straight to Eze, and then we'll consider one, like, if we have enough money still and we get rid, then we'll sell players. If we get rid of we get rid of Zinchenko, and all the other players, like, Vieira,
Nelson.
Yeah. We get rid of all of them and Trossard, and we manage to get enough money. I think that there's a potential that we look at Rodrigo, and the backup is Gordon. And I don't think we look at any other left wingers. I haven't heard any other left wingers in the market, and I just can't see Arsenal, if they want a star left winger, get anyone else other than them two. That's what I think we'll try and do. If that will happen, then whatever. We might just go, nah, Rodrigo said no, Gordon's too expensive. We'll just get Eze and call it a day. Maybe that's the case, but I think we'll try. I feel like we will try and get Rodrigo if it's possible. I personally, that's what I think.
I like that, mate. I like that. We still haven't even given Gyökeres a number. I love that. We've just chatted about it for ages.
We didn't even give the others. We even got to Rodrigo.
Well, let's do it right. Gyökeres, what do you reckon? I genuinely don't know. I think
genuinely don't know. Like 7, I think that's to be safe. I just don't know. Like, even if you speak to people like me who've watched him loads, he is a massive question mark. We just don't know. How's it going to translate? You just don't know. So
do you know what? I'm being positive. I'm going with an 8. He's gonna be a success. He's not gonna be Thierry Henry. Okay, he's not gonna have a statue outside of the Emirates, but he's gonna be up there. It's gonna be a good sign.
Even if he scores like 12 goals and we win the league, like,
so Basha said earlier, for him, 0.6 GA per 90, and then Gunnar Millsy said earlier, he's happy if Gyökeres gets 25 goals in all comps. So let's say Premier League. What did Ollie Watkins get last year? He got 16 last year. Okay. Is Gyökeres capable of getting more than 16 goals in the Premier League?
I was thinking my prediction has been 15 non-penalty goals, but I would want Gyökeres to take pens for us. So if that boosts it to like 30,
Oh, true.
because I do think he should take pens realistically. Like this guy scores all. I know, like I don't personally think he will take pens because I know what our club's like,
Yeah.
but I think he should. I think if he does, he gets over 20 easily. I think he scores 15 non-penalty, maybe. I think I do like the whole like 0.6 per. I think it's realistic to expect a 0.45 non-penalty goals per 90. I think that's what I
Non-pen.
would
Yeah, yeah,
probably
yeah,
assume.
yeah, yeah. I would say
Would
that.
probably assume.
Um, all comps. How many goals do you reckon he'll get?
He's gonna fry the Champions League. He is just made for that tournament.
Mm.
You know, we play anyone he like who's not got that physical defenders or anyone that like kind of even tries to press us. He's just gonna run past it. I could see him being like a real special player in the Champions League.
But you look at
I
like him against City
yeah,
and Leipzig.
yeah.
He scored as well, didn't he?
And against us, like people. I watched the game like you said. I watched the game back against us, and like he was physically like pretty good against Gabriel. Yeah, there's sometimes Gabriel beat him, but he got the best of him sometimes. Like and Gabriel's one of the most physical defenders in the world. Like I think he could really, really do some stuff. I think he could easily get 10 goals at least in the Champions League.
Oh, I take that. They're so
So that
good,
could
isn't it?
easily go end up being 25 all comms. I could see that be. It just depends how much he plays in the league. Like I don't know how much I expect him to start. That's why I say the 0.45 non. I feel like that's a bit more easier because I just don't know how much he's going to play consistently.
Yeah.
Especially if you bring an Eze in. Like where's these players going to fit? We've got 400 of them.
Yeah, yeah, true. All right, so right. So did you say 10? 10 Champions League goals?
Yeah,
How many Prem?
15. We'll say that.
15. Where's that put him? Just have a look.
That's so optimistic.
So
So now I
that's-
say it out loud. That feels so
That's
optimistic.
well, to be fair, right? To put that in context, so Martinelli got that in 22-23. Odegaard got it in 22-23. Fabregas got it in 2009-2010. So it would rank him in the top 25 Premier League campaigns for Arsenal player, which is mad when you think about that. But I heard people going, well, he has to get 25 Premier League goals minimum, right? And I thought, do you really understand in context like how much that is? Because I think sometimes this idea of you get 30 goals in a Premier League campaign, there's only two players that have ever done that for us, and that's Thierry Henry and Robin van Persie. Like, you know, like, you look at the other players we've had, like Dennis Bergkamp, Ian Wright, Sanchez, Aubameyang, Anelka. There's all these amazing players that we've had, but I don't think sometimes people really have a good context. So I look at Watkins and go 16. If he can kind of get around that, I'm happy. Like, I'm really happy.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I
I mean,
will depend on, like, as you said, penalties.
I mean, Aubameyang got 22 and won the Golden Boot. Like, we're just in an era where, like, the defenses are sometimes really good. It's kind of hard sometimes. It just depends how your team plays. But, like, if you've got goals everywhere in your team, it's going to be harder. Like, if Odegaard just has an infinitely better season than he did last year, I think, like, some people will score less. Yeah, I know. He scored, what, 2 non-penalty goals the entire season? Like,
I think so.
if he gets anywhere to at least, like, 10 or whatever he had the year before, like, that will instantly help. Like, it's the same with Martinelli. He scored, like, what, 8, I think, in the Prem? So, like, you know, we just didn't have enough goals last year. And in the context of that, I think Gyökeres will score loads. But he might score less because, the goals are being shared about. Because we know Arteta loves sharing the goals. It's always been Arsenal's thing. Like, even Saka only scored 6 goals last year. I will say as well, if you compare Saka, I know this is going off topic, but if you compare Saka, Martinelli, and Madueke stats from last season, like bar and assists, it is very close.
I did this. Yeah. Do you know what? I've got it here. So last season, if you're comparing Madueke and Martinelli, so 32 starts for Madueke, Martinelli 33. Sorry, matches played, that was. Starts as 27, Madueke, 25, Martinelli. So very, very close. They're within 200 minutes of each other as well. So it's not like it's mad, you know, one of them started and come off constantly or anything like that. Madueke, 7 goals, 3 assists. Martinelli, 8 goals, 4 assists. So slightly better in terms of output. Then you look at the XG on it. So Madueke is 9.6 XG. Martinelli's actually 7.4. So progressive carries, Madueke 154, whereas Martinelli's 124. So sometimes when people are, and I understand, I would say Martinelli is far better off the ball, but in terms of like carries and things like that, Madueke's very good. They're very good. So there is an opportunity for him to just suddenly explode and do amazing.
Oh,
And
he's
and
so good.
could you
He's
imagine
so
like he
good.
has? I'm not saying he has a Rafinha season because I know that's been bounded around. That is not going to happen, and he's not going to suddenly be up for the Ballon d'Or. As much as I'd love that to happen, he could. It isn't. It's not inconceivable that he has a season like Martinelli did a few years ago, and scores like 15 goals, and so suddenly you're going, hang on, where? How has this happened? Like it's not out of the realms of possibility. It's not likely, but I wouldn't be surprised if he goes and
Well,
suddenly we go, oh,
yeah.
that's why we went and got him.
But this is the thing, like, when I make videos and when I analyze and when you talk to other people that analyze games, the whole point of analyzing is not to see what is happening now in many ways, especially with individual players, is see what could happen.
Mm,
And like the issue I have with the whole Havertz discourse is that Havertz, in my opinion, is one of Arsenal's most important players and has been for a very large time. He is limited. He's like goal scorer wise, just instinct in the box and all that, everything to do with that. He is bad at. That's fair enough. But there's so much he does to get us the ball in that situation
mm,
consistently that we just missed when he wasn't in the team. And the problem is because it's so, you have to be such a nerd and look at the stats so specifically to like really see his actual thing. And you have to watch Havertz specifically to see how good he is. People don't really understand that. And it's the same with Madueke. But in my eyes, Madueke isn't that hard. I literally looked at his stats for about because I watched him loads at the start of last season and I didn't watch him for about 6 months. So I did a whole big relook at him. And I literally looked at his stats for about 20 minutes and I was like, this guy's incredible. Like, this guy's not, he's actually improved heavily since when I watched him. And I think the biggest damning point of that is like, if you find the shot locations of where he's actually shooting from 23, 24, he shot so much outside the box. Per shot was 0.04 XG. He was wasteful. He was just not really being that effective with it. Last season, he had like, I think over 90% of his shots were inside the box, and per shot it was 0.014. So he's gone up a whole point 0.1 per shot, which is a massive increase per shot to have. And yes, his goal scoring hadn't improved, and like his form, at least from January to like March, was pretty
mm.
poor. But like when I looked at that, I was like, this guy is clearly getting into the right positions. And even he's not being composed enough. He's leaning back a little bit. He loves shooting it over the bar. But there's also sometimes I see his shots and I'm like, they're unlucky. It's a brilliant save by the keeper. Or like the ball bounced funny and it hits some guy. And like, I was just like, when you look at these specific things, you really realize that he actually could easily score 15 Premier League goals a season, easily. Like, a lot of analysts think it. Pretty much anyone I spoke to in the industry like loves him. They think he's amazing. Like, and I'm just like, it's quite funny how like the public perception of him that is he is not good. Um, and I just think like it's not true. Like, I would rather have him than any other Chelsea winger in our team, to be honest. It's kind of crazy to think that.
Yeah, yeah, I'd agree. I think last year actually, when we did something going through players that you buy from each team, you know, outside of the top six,
Yeah, yeah.
and he was the one that came up. I
I
said,
said that
well,
I loved Madueke then. I loved him. That's
yeah.
my guy. See, I know. Like,
So
I, I also like. I will say, if anyone, just to reiterate on the point, which is the price, because I think that's the main problem. I don't think the
yeah,
players.
yeah,
The thing is, originally the player was the problem, and then people have become educated and understood that actually he has a lot of potential and he's very good, so it's not that bad. But the price is now the problem. I will say, Arden Jasari has just got a deal rejected to AC Milan for 45 million euros. Now, Arden Jasari is probably a player not many people know. He plays for Club Brugge. He's 22 years old, and Club Brugge bought him for 6 mil last year. And he's a central midfielder. He is very good. I like him a lot. But that is the point I'm saying. Like, these players are that expensive because of profit, and he plays for Club Brugge. Club Brugge don't have a lot of money. They would take that, and
No.
they still rejected 45 mil. So, like, that is the price these days. I said this, like, we've said this loads of weeks, that every deal seems to be around 40 to 70 mil. Even for a Langer, who's like pretty basic player, 55 mil.
Yeah.
It's just how it is
It's
sometimes.
that range, isn't it? The lowest possible transfers seem to be coming up. The highest seem to be coming down a little bit. But that average is now moving up and up and up. So it's the market, unfortunately. But I'm just hoping it just doesn't affect everything else, all the other deals. And that's the biggest thing.
Madueke will be a 9 out of 10. He's got my seal of approval. I'm gonna be there defending him. If he's bad, I'll hold my hands up. I'll stand on business. I'll take one for the team. But I did it with Havertz, and I didn't do it with Jorginho when he signed, because I didn't make content when he signed. But for large parts in 23-24, I was defending Jorginho, said he should have started, and then he did start. He was incredible. Maybe I just like the Chelsea team. I just like their players. I think they're right. Like, maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I think they got some good players.
I don't really know how to react to that, mate.
Maybe we should get more players from Chelsea. Maybe they're actually all right. I don't know.
I'm not jumping that train yet, mate. I think it'll be a successful deal. I think long term people will look back and go, oh, actually, that was a good buy. I think he will progress and he will get better. It'll be similar to the Havertz thing, where at the beginning it's going to take people a little while, and over time people kind of forget he used to be a Chelsea player almost, and it'll just be like, oh, he's one of us. The money is the sticking point for me. So I'd like to go like it's a 7. But where the money is at the moment and how it might affect the transfer window, I'm a bit like, I have to kind of drop it down. So I guess like a 6 right now. But you never know. Like, if he goes and an absolute tear next season, does amazing, makes that left-hand side possibly like his own spot, or even if he can give Saka minutes rest, so then in later stages of cups we've got a fresh Saka, or at the crunch time of the season in the Premier League we've got a fully fit Saka. That's a really good signing. It's something that we've lacked.
Yeah.
So.
And he's easily good enough to play. Like, he's never actually. Well, he played in the Champions League, I think, for PSV, but he never played in it for Chelsea. Like, he is good enough to play as a Champions League player. Like, we played Sterling in the Champions League last year. Like, and we've played Trossard. Like, he's way better than Trossard as a player. Like, I think as well with Madueke. What I will say, my biggest worry about him as the transfer is that I do worry about how much is he going to be able to progress as a player, given how much minutes is he going to get. If he went to Forest and started every game, I would think he would play a lot and probably develop a lot. And I know a lot of people said this because it is true. And like, I personally don't think he's coming in to play left wing, like, at all. I think he could be an option there if we get rid of a Trossard. But my thing is, I think we're either going to sign an Eze or Rodrigo or Gordon or whatever, but one of them will play left wing at some points. Like, I think if push comes to shove, if Martinelli's out or injured, Eze will play left wing over a Madueke. I think that will happen. So I've heard apparently in the contract, this is probably like not true at all, but it's probably minutes dependent, and they've probably promised him about 2,000 minutes, which would make sense. He will get that for the amount of games we play. So maybe that's fine, and maybe that's enough minutes for him to progress. I'd say that's probably enough to progress. That's quite a good amount of minutes. Yeah. It'd just be interesting to see where they come from. But this will force Arteta to rotate, and he never does it, and we've needed to do it for years. So, I mean, if anything like that, that's a benefit. That's why I'm here for the Eze deal. Makes us rotate. Rotate.
I'm all over that Eze deal. Like, the longer it goes on, the more I want him. I had a chat with Dan Potts last year. Like, essentially, he was like, "That's the player I want in. That's one player." And at the time, I was just like, "I don't see the need for it. Like, we need a striker. We need left winger. We need cover for Saka." I had explained my worries and concerns about Odegaard and cover, as like in the Odegaard mold, whereas obviously Eze has like a bias to the left hand side. I look at it now and go, I just want to, and he's so exciting. Just get him in. At least then every week I can go, when Eze comes on the pitch, I'm gonna have some fun. I'm gonna enjoy it a little bit. And that's the other thing. You look at Madueke, he's an exciting player, frustrating but exciting. I think Gyökeres has got a certain something about him as well, where he's just bullish, and that's just good to watch. So a lot of these players are quite good fun to watch as well, which would be nice. Make a little bit of a change for next season. I think that as a deal, for a multitude of reasons, could be really good. That £68 million release clause is looking more and more like, oh, actually, there's not a bad deal for that. Whereas originally I said I still think it's a bit high, but as time goes on, maybe that's actually what we're going to have to pay. The other thing with it is, I think if we got that one done and not Madueke, I think that bodes well for the transfer window, because it takes the pressure off of getting a left winger. People go, well, he can play out there if needed. And we're used to seeing him on the left side. He takes the pressure off of Odegaard a little bit as well. He can take minutes off him, play centrally. He could play as a left 8 as well. When you're looking at a marquee signing of a Rodrigo, you're in a really good position to go, well, actually, we've got Martinelli. We've got Trossard, if he's still around at this point in the window. And now we've got Eze who can play there. So you're in a really strong position of, we don't need your player. We want your player, but we don't have to get him. We're not in a position where we can move. We can walk away from the deal. And that puts you in good negotiation positions. Real Madrid are very good at negotiating what they want. They don't usually hold on to players like that.
I was gonna say, I don't think selling they're like amazing. I don't think they're a really good selling team, to be honest.
I just know they'll get more or less what they want, if you know what I mean. We're not going to get him for cheap. Because I think if you're kind of going, we can't go above this. If you've got Eze in already, you can walk away for the deal. The fans aren't going to lose the plot. I think that's a deal that kind of makes sense for that reason, as well as what he can do on the pitch. And there's a really nice story about him, being at Arsenal previously. He's still around London, will get to stay there. So there's all of those things as well. I think, it'll be a great signing.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I've been really split on Eze, actually, more than a lot of people. Like, someone said to me, "Who do you think you should sign, Eze or Rodrigo?" And I was like, I genuinely just don't think I can answer that right now, because I have many pros and many cons for both of them. And I think for Eze specifically, the big pro is, like, he just has attributes we just don't have. He is versatile and can play in many roles, which is great. Like mentally, he seems like the brilliant candidate you want at the club. We've got a pretty good, strong English core now, with Madueke now coming in, with Saka, with Miles, with Rice. So, and these are England internationals getting called up every time. So that's really cool. We could have 5 players getting called up, which would be kind of cool as well. I'd love that. So, like, there is a lot to love about the Eze thing. I do think the money is expensive, but there has been rumours that we are trying to negotiate a deal for a bit less. If it ends up coming down to around about 55 mil, I think it's a lot better. I also think as well, when I first looked at the Eze deal, me and many other people who are a bit, maybe money orientated in terms of transfers more than like the player, which is funny because I'm the complete opposite of Madueke, but usually I am like this for most transfers. I think we looked at that value for a 27-year-old. Isn't a starter guaranteed? Is it worth it? Now, Eze is a very specific profile, and I was looking at other people that have got very similar profiles to him, and they're basically all 21 and younger and not proven. He is in such a unique mold. He's like an in-between player. He's like a player that can play on the left wing, but also in the center, and also like plays between areas, and he also creates in between areas. And like, he shoots a lot, but then he also creates a lot. He's a very specific and weird player. And I think Arsenal need that. And I don't think there's anyone on the market that's gettable for like 4 to 5 years. Like Buena would have been another one that's kind of similar, but he's gone. And I think like that is basically it. So if you look at it, the market, and go, well, we want this type of player, we need this player as like backup option. He's 27. He's not that old. Like, I am completely for signing him. I also think with Eze, I'm not that worried about the Waneri thing because I think he is a left-sided player. He is right-footed, which we do need. We spoke about needing dribblers, right-footed dribblers in the center of the park.
Mhm.
And that is what he is. I don't think it blocks Waneri too much. There might be games where we play a double pivot and it's one attacking midfielder, but like Waneri's just not going to play. It's fine sometimes. Like the Waneri conversation is difficult because like, it is just a bit it's a weird situation because I've never really been sat there thinking, "I want Waneri to be the backup right winger." I've been more entitled to think that I want him to be the backup for Odegaard, and it seems
Yep.
like the club think that as well. And he could still be that. Eze just might be a different left centre mid option with Rice, with Marino. But then you've got to think like Havertz, where does he fit into it? But I guess he's a striker. And I don't know. But ultimately, these are good problems to have, and we shouldn't concern ourselves about having more players is better. And after last season, I said this at the start of this transfer window. I said that I know a lot of creators are kind of have this mentality that we shouldn't overstack players, and I get that, but I wouldn't care for a season. Just get loads of players in every game, just change it up and see what happens. So I think for Eze, like given all them factors in place, like if he came to the team as well, like I don't think I don't want to say this harshly, but I don't think the fans' opinions on transfers the club cares about, and I don't think they
Mhm.
should either in many ways, because if they have an idea of a player, like they just know more than like everyone else. They know more than all of us. But Eze does lift the fan base, especially after the summer, especially after I think people have gone a bit too far this summer, but I know people sometimes I can understand the frustrations. I really do get it. And I think Eze is one of them players that does lift it. I know Rodrigo would,
Yeah.
but I think Eze even more than that. I think Eze just brings that good vibes, and he's a great guy as well.
Quick question. The Ethan Waneri thing. Would you be annoyed if we did get, say, if we got in an Eze and Madueke? Would you be annoyed if Ethan doesn't get as many minutes as he did last year? Or are you more of the mindset of, well, people quite often say, if you're good enough, you're old enough. So at the same time, you got to fight for your place. We're an elite team. We are one of the best in Europe. We are trying to win the Premier League. We want to go further in the Champions League and get to that, the absolute pinnacle of European football. You've got to put up now. So if you can't get in ahead of these other guys, so be it. Like where do you kind of lie along that line?
The thing is, it's like I get that Ethan Wingeri is like a generational talent, but ultimately he is a talent. He is not a fully fleshed player. Like we don't know the qualities that he has. Like, yeah, he's great at cutting in on his left foot and doing that same shot. And he is good at individually other stuff. But is there things that he's going to struggle? Is there ways that he can mold into a player? And I always think like genuinely, it reminds me so much of Kobe Mainu from United. Kobe Mainu was a good player when he came in at United, but they didn't know what he was. Was he a progressor of the ball? Was he a sitter? And they kind of just played him this weird mid role where he was like a bit of
Mm.
everything, and he couldn't do it. And then he played for England and couldn't do it. He was a progressor of the ball. He's actually better, I think, as a attacking eight than a defensive player. And I think that the more you watch him, that probably makes sense. And I look at Waneri and I'm like, that could easily happen. We could even figure out he's more of a 10. I think right now he is more of a 10, but he can do 8 things. He can do advanced 8 things if you need him to. But I think I'd rather him closer to the goal personally. But he's so young. I look at things and I go, like, we are, I think, one of the best teams in the world. I think we're top 5, in my opinion, last season at Lille. Well, I think over the
Yeah.
last couple of years, we deserve to be in them conversations. And you can't expect to play loads of minutes when you're a child. Him asking in their contract negotiations, his agency asked, is he going to play? Where's the future? That is absolutely fine because they deserve to know, like, is there an idea of the future? That's fine. But he shouldn't expect to play too much. And I'm sure he wouldn't expect to play too much either. Um, I still think we've got 70 games a season. People aren't even talking about Marino. Like, if we sign an
Yeah.
Eze, we've got Eze, Havertz, Rice. Like, Miles can play in the left centre mid. Zuba could if you had to. Norgard could. Like, I know Marino would be ahead of them two people, but Marino's arguably like fourth choice in that role. Like, no one's
Hmm.
cared. No one's even said anything. if Waneri's the same on the right side, I don't find that bad at all. Like, he is super young. He needs to develop. Yes, maybe you need to get him alone then to get him more minutes. That's a perfectly fine thing to consider. But you know, we're one of the best teams in the world, and we can't be playing youngsters. You know, great example is Harvey Elliott. Harvey Elliott is one of the best. When he was like 19, he was insane as a right winger. Did he get any minutes at right wing? Nope, because they got Salah. He didn't play at all. They played him in right centre mid where he is weaker, and they realised it hasn't really worked. He's played some really good games. I did some videos on it, but he hasn't been a hugely amazing there, especially recently. And then he
Mm.
played for the England under 21s, and everyone's like, wow, this guy's great. He is a great player, but they just have such a high level of standards that it's so hard to come in. And I think that's the same with Ethan. And I don't personally want to shovel him into a right winger where I don't think that's where his best qualities are. I don't think the club do. And it's not like, oh, yeah, he could still develop there. But if we could just get a Madueke in, that is an upgrade. Madueke is a better player than Waneri right now. I know a lot of people won't think that, but it's the case. So it's tough. And you know, like, I don't think Ethan's gonna leave, so maybe it's the situation.
No,
But people
I
talk
don't
about
think he will.
Dalman as well, and it's like Dalman's even crazier to me. That guy's 16 or 15, 16 in January. Like, he might be a part of the first team, but he's not gonna play for
Oh.
years. He doesn't. Why do people care about like? We need everyone keeps going on about win now, win now, win now, and then when it comes to like 16-year-olds, everyone's like, oh yeah, they need to be for the future. By the time that he's 20 years old and we buy an Eze will be 31, Odegaard will be 30. And that's why I'm quite up for the Eze signing, because he is what, 9 years older than Waneri and like 10 years
Yeah.
older than Dalman. That is a big enough age gap. It's like the same with the Garcia thing. Like, Garcia is 6 years younger than Raya and 6 years older than Setford, or 5 years older than Set. And to me, that makes sense. So I think it's fine. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
I personally.
Yeah, I kind of look at it from the standpoint of like I want all of those Hell End boys to come through. There's something about it. You know, like Bukayo Saka coming through. There's something really almost like indescribable, that feeling of like one of your own that's made it. When Emile Smith Rowe left, it felt different to any other player leaving. It's like the same way with Jack Wilshere when he finally had to go. We all knew he couldn't play at the level anymore. We knew he had his injuries, but it's not nice, you know? So there is like something primal from that respect. But I look at it and go, right, okay, if you look at the 98 team, if you look at the Invincibles, if you like any of these teams, we would never at the time have gone, oh, are we blocking the path for another player? Like Will Tor coming in, are we blocking the path for a younger player here? Like, that doesn't come in your mind when you are at the top. I don't think there's many Liverpool fans at the moment worrying about players coming in like Averts and going, oh, is that blocking another player's path? Because they are at the top and they want to stay there. We've got to slightly move out of this mindset and go, actually, if we want to get there, we have got to be ruthless. And the best players will rise to the top. They just will. You look at Barcelona, they are a very good example. They have one of the best academies in world football. They have got an immense history of producing fantastic players. They will still buy big, and they will still hope that these players will come through, like a Xavi or an Iniesta or a Messi or a Busquets or whoever it may be. But they were still buying players on top and kind of going, you know, this is the standard. This is what Barcelona expect. So if you want to play for Barcelona, you've got to get to that level. And I think we need to kind of get to it. Nick is in the chat. Hi, Nick. Nick is a very good friend. Nick is the person who helped me get this shirt. Let's get cover. We've needed it for years. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong there, mate. It's mental, isn't it? And I agree with you as well, Reece. Like, it's nice to stockpile for a year at least. We've been like on like threadbare for so many seasons now. It'll be nice to actually go into season and go, well, if a player gets injured, we've actually got cover. Leandro Trossard last year was our most used attacker.
It's
I mean, that says it all,
insane.
doesn't it?
Insane. It's also like with like, I don't know, like yeah. I just think like you said, I said this a couple of weeks ago, but I actually think that Arsenal are like with all these signings, with all this stuff going on, we are probably lining up a big sell next year if it's not going to be done this year. And that could be a Martinelli, maybe we'll see. But I think equally an Odegaard or a Havertz. I know that Arteta's two specifically favourite players in the team. Like that's obviously evident. I do think there's eventually a world where they're not going to be here. But by the time that, like, the whole point of squad planning is that by the time your players start reaching like the first peak, which is like 22, 23, and then the second one's like 26, 27, when you're properly like established, is you want to have players in different categories. Tottenham bought Bergval and Gray at the age of 18, um, with not a lot of plan, because by the time they're amazing at 23, Solanke's going to be 32. I mean, it makes a little bit more sense now with a Kudus or a Gibbs White, maybe. But what you want
Hmm.
is you want your players coming through to reach 23 when your better players are like 28, 29 in their peak age. So then everything comes together. Kind of how it's worked in Liverpool in many ways. And like
Hmm.
you're so right about Liverpool. No one talks about Stefan Bajcetic. You know, he was one of the
Yeah.
best defensive midfielders when he came through at 18. And like he was so good. And I think he tore his ACL. He did a really bad knee injury and was out for like a year, which didn't help. But then he went on loan to Las Palmas. He's done loads of things now. Like people don't care. Like people don't go, oh yeah. And I get that Winery's different. He is specifically very different because he is touted as one of the best in the UK forever, for many years. And that's obviously been the thing. And I think with Miles also coming through, people kind of compare and go, well, Miles is doing this, but he's not. But it's different positions. And Miles, I've said this multiple times, won't be a left back for the future. Probably this season he will, but I can
Yeah.
easily see next season us then moving him into midfield where he deserves to be. Like, it's fine. Like, if Waneri eventually gets to the point where he goes, I want to leave, I want more minutes, then we've got to do it. But I don't know. I think he'll still get enough minutes. We play 70 games a season pretty much at this point. If we want to go deep in these cup competitions as well, Ethan can easily play all Carabao Cup games, most FA Cup games, most Champions League group games, really, if we had to. So it's like that alone is like 20, 25 games now. So, and also you're 18. Like, how many minutes do you want? Like, 1,500 minutes, I would say, is probably a good amount. But
I mean, he was
just
right
don't know.
near the top as well, wasn't he? You know, for players of his age, I can't remember what it was
Yeah,
now.
20. He was
Um,
24th in the world for teenagers in Europe, and then he was 7th in the world for teenagers in the top 5 leagues, and then he was 3rd in the world, I think, for forwards in the top 5
which is
leagues.
insane,
I
isn't
think
it?
and one of them is Jamal, by the way. So
Yeah, yeah, complete outlier. Um, yeah, I think this whole thing about him not signing a contract is it's just a non-starter. He'll sign another contract. It's fine. It's not a problem.
I wonder what wages he'll be on though. That's the interesting thing because I don't know what wages Miles
What's
on. I don't know if you
Miles
know
got?
what. Wait,
No,
uh,
I'll have a little look. Yeah.
because I
Um,
think it might. I've heard 60K, but I'm not sure if that's like true. Because what if there's a world where Ethan gets put on more money than Madueke? That'd be
I
insane.
I'm
I
not
mean, it
against it.
easily could happen with the Mars deal. But so me, Madueke in the long term is actually going to end up being like a cheap squad option. I think people will start maybe not
It says
squinting at the value as
40K on
much.
Capology. So
Oh, okay, that would
Capology
make
say
sense.
yeah,
That would make more
40K
sense.
base, no bonus as well, which is mad.
That's what you want. Well, I mean, you want your squad players on 40, 50K. Like,
Mm,
even 100K is fine, realistically, if they're like Tomiyasu. Like, even 100K, when he was playing, he was fine. But like, we got Nelson on like 100K, 110. He's on
yeah.
double what Ethan, Madueke, Miles on. Ethan and Madueke, I'd rather play over him. Like, he's just never going to get a game. Like, so I
Well,
think the club are
considering
doing a lot
Urian
better, I
Timbers
think.
on 90.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's
Do you know what I
crazy.
mean?
Like, it's just these blind players from England and young players. But Ethan is good, and Ethan should get reliable minutes. I don't think I worry too much. I don't worry about his contract. I mean, it's short bad, being like he's just gonna sign. Like, oh yeah, he's not getting played for us, so he's gonna go to Chelsea. Well, he's gonna play. Madueke literally left Chelsea because he's not getting played. Because they were playing him and then they just dropped him and then went, we don't want you. Like, he's going to get even less minutes there. I'm not really that worried about that. And I don't really think that many people should be. Realistically, we've got a couple of years with some of these players left. Like, even if it's
Mhm.
not next year, Odegaard's not going to be in the club forever. He's like 26. Havertz is what, 26, 27. Rice is like around the same age. Like, we haven't got it forever with these guys. And Gabriel's 27. Like, we haven't got the forever with these guys. We've only got a couple of years left, and then you'll see players come through anyway. So it's not that bad. But we didn't do a rate like for. I mean, the only player we haven't really spoke about is Rodrigo. So I'd say for the rating for Rodrigo, I'd say, well, do you want Eze over Rodrigo? I think that's a better question
Oh,
because I still don't know. I still
um, I, y- yes and no. Like I think Eze almost solves more problems than Rodrigo. Like his ability to carry, his ability to make good choices and transition, shoot from different angles, play in bizarre little locations and pockets across the pitch. He does more than Rodrigo does to solve our problems with low blocks and things. Rodrigo, however, is more of a like a archetypal left winger. He's able also in big games to come up trumps, if that makes sense. Like he's got a good track record of doing that. And I think if you want to progress in like the latter stages of the Champions League, he's a guy that you can really depend on. Like he's not very experienced in terms of age. He has a huge amount of experience in terms of the club he has been at and the competitions he's competed in. So for that standpoint, I think Rodrigo's like the obvious like if I had to buy one or the other, it would probably be Rodrigo. But really, I think Eze probably is the more like sensible option. Do I want to be sensible there? I don't know. Just get
it's
both. Just get both.
yeah, this is
Let's
what
get
it's
both.
what I said. I
Just
keep
get.
saying, let's just get both, because it's like I don't know, man. Like I feel like I would be more. It's weird because I think Eze. I want Eze more as a player, but I would be more disappointed if we didn't get Rodrigo, which makes no sense. So like who make a decision really, but. I just would be. I don't count this window as being as good as it could be if we don't get Rodrigo personally, because if it
Mm,
depends. If Rodrigo comes out and goes, I don't want to leave Real Madrid, then I'm not going to think that because I'm going to be like, wow, he's made that decision. What can we do?
yeah.
I believe in things happen in this world that we can't control, but for some reason, some fans think that everything we should be able to control sometimes. Like I just don't. If the market doesn't work out the way it shouldn't, yes, should we have done more planning? Yep, I think the same with Jokeres in many ways, but
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. We've come to this situation, so I think I would be upset if we don't sign a class left winger because that was my number one aim of this summer was to get a class left winger. And do I think Rodrigo's that class? No, but he is infinitely better on the left than he is the right. He didn't play on the left a lot last season, so the stats don't show that.
Mm-hmm.
He works really hard. We're actually going to give him the positions, and it gives more space to Saka and Madueke on the right anyway, and gives us like just more balance, which I don't know if Eze does. Eze's a good winger. I've heard a lot of people say he's actually really good on left wing. Fair enough. I think he would help Jokeres, but like, is that my priority to help Jokeres? Like, I don't know. He might be fine anyway if we put him next to a Havertz. Like, so it's just one of them things where it's like I see the pros and cons of both. I think Rodrigo's a better long-term signing. I still will. I don't know though because Eze's just such a
Mm.
unique profile, and there is
It's
going to be left
really
wingers on the
interesting, isn't
market.
it? It's like the
It's
price
such a
of the
hard
deal as
debate.
well. If you can get
Yeah.
in Eze for 60 million or less, and it looks like probably installments, it could end up being a better financial deal than Rodrigo for like the amount that they're essentially saying. But and the wages on top of that, I can only imagine what Rodrigo's really going to want for wages, even if he stays at the
Well,
same.
it's
It's like,
apparently the whole Rodrigo situation is like Real Madrid have set a price. Apparently, they want 80 mil fixed and then like 100 mil in add-ons, which is about they want 69 mil fixed, and then it goes up to about 78, which I actually think is an absolute fine price to pay for Rodrigo. To be
mhm.
honest, I don't think they're asking for too much there at all. Apparently, as well, he wants around like 300k wages, but apparently it's all pre-planned. So if he
Oh,
does decide to leave, Arsenal know how much he's going to cost, have the money available, like apparently. So that's why, like with the Rodrigo deal, people are like, it's over. And I'm just like, well, if he wants to leave, I think we'll get him personally. I think because apparently it's come out, he said that if Real Madrid if he can't find an agreement with Real Madrid next week and decides to leave, he wants to have judgment on where he goes. He doesn't want to get forced
Yeah.
to a club like Chelsea. And apparently, like we've done a lot of work on it. Maybe at the last minute, Chelsea just put a bit of bigger financial package. Maybe that's what happens. But I think we know what Arsenal are like. They've set prices for every player that they want to bring in. I think we've probably set aside. We're going to spend what 80 mil on you, maybe like
Yep.
overall, like with add-ons, and we're going to pay you 310k a week. It's going to be the most we pay wages. And I think if he wants to work within them that structure, that is fine. Obviously, Eze's going to be a lot cheaper. Like even with his obviously installment space. The fact his release clause is installment space is really good, but it doesn't mean
Yeah.
that we're not paying it. I think some people have just I kind of forgot that we still have to pay 68 mil if we pay it.
Yeah, I
Still a
always
lot of
think about
money.
like how it's going to affect the rest of the transfer season or January if we need to do something. I
Yeah,
think
like
about it
Summers in
over
the
yeah.
past. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I mean, the 240 that he's currently on puts him level with Odegaard and Declan Rice. If he goes up to 300, he's technically, if that is a a base pay, that takes him up to the most expensive player on our wage bill. So it is interesting when you start to look at it that way. Like, should he be the highest paid player at the club?
I
It's
think in terms of a
arguable.
signing, I think in terms of a signing though, like it makes sense. Like when you're at such a high level, every player you buy basically is on that wages. Like I was looking at
Mm,
the top highest wages of players. I can't remember what player was. Was it Osimhen? I think I was looking at Osimhen. It's probably Osimhen because his wages
because
make me laugh.
astronomical, aren't they?
And I was looking at the highest wages reportedly of what we think they are in the country, and it was
Hmm.
funny because like De Bruyne was still the second highest paid player until he left the club this
Oh,
year.
really?
Like in the league, like I can't. There was another player that also left and was on like loads. Like Bruno's on loads of money. He's on way more money than any of our players. Like and I can't remember some of them on there. I was like, are not worth. Like Jack Grealish is on 300k a week, and I was like, given the money, given the fact they spent so much money on him, it kind of makes sense. But we can all agree that he just is not worth that. He's not playing. Like he is just not a deal. So I was like, when you compare it to like people's like potential of signings, it makes sense. And like it's kind of crazy to think they spent 100 million Jack Grealish and that much wages. If we got Rodrigo for a cheaper deal, like in my eyes, I've seen a lot of people say this, that is the left winger market going to be better next year? I personally don't think so. I think we're going to have
No,
the
I don't
same
think so either.
problems. And that's why I think we have to act on Rodrigo. Eze's a unique situation where he is a very specific profile. We do need a sort of profile like that. I wouldn't say it's priority. I wouldn't say it has to have come in. And he is, if you want that profile, you have to get Eze. There's no other player that's on the market right now that you can get that fits that category. But I just think we need a star left winger. He's not the perfect player in the world, but who else are we going to get? No one. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to force Madueke out there, bless him. Like, just be a backup on the right wing.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. Like, so just to put in context, so that 300 grand we're estimating would obviously put him in line with Bernardo Silva, Bruno Fernandes, Jack Grealish, and just under Raheem Sterling, who's
Oh
on
my god. Oh
325.
my god.
Oh. So when you put it that way, I mean, it's not as bad as paying him that, but it would put
I mean,
him kind of joint fifth in the top 10 because it seems like almost like, fifth to 10th is about 300 grand a week.
some of these are just
Um,
crazy. Like Casemiro on 350k. Like I get the player that they bought, that makes sense, but that is crazy. Like apparently, like John Stones is on 250k. I mean, like he had
yeah.
one great season playing that specific role, but like that's the most expensive, most
Well,
money a
Tijani
defender's on in the whole
Reinders has come in
league.
on 230.
Yeah,
It's
like
just
and
like,
like some people may say that's a bit of a flawed signing, but I don't know who would say that. Like I look at some of the like the deals here, and I'm like the Gabriel Jesus thing really annoys me. Like I see some people keep saying Gabriel Jesus is back up in right wing, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I've
do
just
you want to
never been
see him like that?
I've never even been convinced that he's that good there. Like, I actually think Loki, he's been fine on the left. Like, I just don't think
Mm,
he's that good on the right. Like, he's played there like a handful of times, and there's no game that he's come away from it. And I've gone, wow, that's a great
wow.
performance. I've always just thought he's okay at right wing. He needs to play up front, but now we're getting Gyökeres. Like, he is on too much money. He has to go.
Yep.
And I said this to you before, but I don't see Jesus starting another league game ever for the club. I just can't see it. So in my eyes, I don't consider him on the team. And I know some people will be like, well, he is.
Yeah,
He's
I'm the
getting
same.
paid. But like, I just don't factor in squad building, and I don't factor you. Sometimes you just like Tommy Yasu before this summer. I wasn't factoring him in the squad building because it just didn't. He's just not here. He's just injured
Mhm.
too much. Like, so unfortunately, that's how I look at things, and that's why like I've seen people say Winery's not going to get any more minutes because Jesus. I think we'll play Winery over Jesus at the right wing. I don't think Jesus is going to play over him, to be honest.
No, no, you're completely right. It's so frustrating as well, isn't it? Like Tommy Asu, obviously leaving the club, not going to get anything from that. Jesus, you just can't move him on because he's injured. Like Nelson, you can't really get much money for him. Laconga, same. Fabio Vieira, you might make a little bit, but
He's probably
you,
the only one that's
and
going to sell. Like,
annoyingly, because of the price we bought him for, it's still going to be a loss. The Carl Hein, I'm looking here, Marquinhos,
I
Zinchenko,
mean,
you might get
Zinchenko, yeah.
10.
Zinchenko's the weird one because it's like Zinchenko is actually better than 10 mil, but he's just so specific that no one's gonna bother.
Yeah.
Milan originally wanted him, and then they didn't get rid of Tio to Atleti, and then Tio Hernandez went to Saudi, and now they don't want him, which is fair enough. Like, I don't think it'd work at all in the Serie A, but I just like, I mean, surely there's one team that could take Zinchenko, please.
Would
Anyone?
you have taken Teo Hernandez just as
Uh,
a left back that can just go?
he he had a really poor season last year. Like he was really dropped off, and defensively, he's a massive liability. Like a couple of years ago, he was actually fine, but last year he just his positioning is just awful, and
Yeah.
he's on ridiculous wages as well. Like when he was at Milan, he was like. I think the second highest paid player at Milan, other than Leao, which made sense
Yeah.
because when they won the league, he was like their best player, other than Leao and Mike in goal. But I think that the whole deal would have just been. It's like one of them deals that United make because they're like, oh yeah,
Oh,
he
it
was
has
really
got
good.
United written all over,
Yeah, it's
hasn't
like
it?
it's one of those deals like, oh yeah, he's
Casemiro
really.
coming in
We
like,
can get him
oh,
for 25 mil on a cheaper deal, but we're still going to pay 400k a week. And like, he's actually not that good anymore. He's kind of washed, but even though he's only 29, like, but we'll still use him. Like, and it's like such a United side, like Varane, a Casemiro, like,
yeah.
oh, just them signings are just disgusting.
Yeah,
Like,
stinks of United, doesn't it, that?
well, I think
Um,
I still some United fans want him, but yeah, he's got Saudi now.
yeah. I mean, before we finish up, so earlier in the in the chat, Gunnar Millsy put this on. So he said, "I get the Miles Lewis Skelly midfield thing, but that guy has the opportunity to be the best in the world at left back." Um, it kind of reminds me of when we had Maitland-Niles at the club. I never thought Maitland-Niles would make it to like world class as a fullback, by the way. But do you remember, like, he had the opportunity to kind of make that position his own, and it just always went on about, "Oh no, I want to be a midfielder and I want to move." And then, I mean, the whole Wolves debacle. We should have sold him the first time anyway, and just got as much as we possibly could have, which actually might have been our biggest sale if we did that. Regardless, Miles seems to have done it in the complete like opposite way round. He's looked at it and gone, "I'm just going to shut up. I am going to make this position my own. It doesn't matter if some Italian stallion is going to come over. I'm going to take that position. I'm going to absolutely tear it up in the Champions League as well. And I'm not going to talk about playing in midfield. And when the opportunity arises, I know he will seize it. But it's really nice, isn't it? The difference between two different players and how that they see a situation. I mean, Millsy has also put in, what would he prefer? I think he'd prefer playing in midfield. Um, but I genuinely don't think he cares about playing left back because he's still picking up like similar
Yeah,
positions.
yeah. He's
You know,
basically
it's
in midfield, isn't he? Like that's what they said to him in his contract. I think I've heard some about it. Like they spoke about his positioning, and he apparently he didn't care at all. His family didn't care because they were like, "Well, he look where he touches the ball. It's literally
yeah,
in midfield." Which I don't mind. Like I do think in a world though, like I say, like if there's a world where Arsenal want to change how their left backs play, and we should be able to, like an overlapping left back needs to be a
Mhm.
consideration we have in the future.
Yes.
Miles can't play left back. Like, and this is the thing, like his best position is in that center, like diamond in that left side, you could
Mhm.
say, but left, even just anywhere on that left side, progressing the ball is where he's great. And even going forward, I think we're really seeing some massive improvements from towards the end of last year. But like, there's going to be games where Arsenal do need an overlapping left back. We have a overlapping right back for games like that. Ben White, if he needs to come in.
Yep.
So, and Calafiori can do it. Like, it's okay. Like, I still prefer Calafiori creating chaos and just doing what he wants. I think he's very smart at that. But it's like that thing with like Miles. It's like you just got to be careful. Like, you don't want, like, he actually could be a world class. He genuinely could be one of the best left backs in the world. Also, because it's a position where there's not that many class ones. I personally don't think.
Mhm.
But like, yeah, it's just one of them things where it's like, we need to be careful with his position. Like, he can still do this role, but do we want to have our left back as this inverted role forever? Is that the
Yep.
long term plan for an 18-year-old to kind of stick in that position? Which I do think is interesting. It's funny you do mention Maitland-Niles, because Maitland-Niles is like the funniest guy ever. That guy, I will say, Maitland-Niles was like 24 years old, my age, and he was still like just sitting at the club trying to get like 10 minutes, which is quite funny. But he is just like he was like the guy that everyone buys on. I keep mentioning Football Manager, but like it's just easy, is it? Like, he's the guy on Football Manager that everyone bought because he was cheap and he could play in every position on the
Yeah.
pitch. Like, and that was the benefit of him. And if he never realized that, like, you're right, like he always kind of yapped a little bit. And it was like, you are here to be a versatile player. Somehow, Maitland-Niles played 5 games for England. Like, do you know why? Because he's versatile and he can play in multiple positions. And that's not the first like youth academy player that Arsenal have had these problems with. I mean, Chamberlain, the whole reason why he went
Oh
to Liverpool is
yeah.
because he wanted to
Wanted to
play.
play
He
in
wanted to
midfield.
play midfield, yeah, and he didn't want to be a wing back anymore. And he was a winger as well for us. And he was like, "No, I don't want to be a winger or a wing back. I want to be a central midfielder." It actually worked out for him.
He
He played well
played
in central
against
midfield.
Liverpool, didn't he, as his final game for us as
Yeah, it was
well? That
4-0. And
whole
then it went next.
thing.
And next week, he did the interview and said, like, "Oh yeah, yeah, we had a good win last week." So you were the losing team.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a part of the problem.
I don't know about that. Yeah, it is funny, isn't it? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the long term plan, transfer wise, is that Miles will move into midfield. As you look at like a Marino moving on, because how old is Marino at the moment? He's
29, 20,
yeah, I was going to say, is he
28,
29? Let me double check.
which will be
He is.
fine as
Yeah,
well,
he's
because
29.
Marino's a short-term signing. He was always
Yeah.
a short-term signing.
So if you look at, well, Marino's probably moving on over the next year or two. So will be Norgard. So that frees up some space straight away. So you go, well, I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking going, well, long term, we're probably going to bring in someone who can overlap on the left back situation. And then Miles will move into those central zones. And then at times he can play there. And eventually, after a few seasons, he'll become just a central midfielder. But like you quite often do with players who want to play centrally, you play them out wide on the wing. We've seen it multiple times. You end up doing that.
And that is perfect for a contingency plan as well. Like, we could have him as the long-term like Rice replacement, like years and
Yeah.
years in the future. He's super young. And then also, like, it gives us enough freedom where we don't have to be pressured into signing a player. Like, the big problem this summer with Arsenal is that we are in a situation where we have to buy a winger, we have to buy a striker. And I actually think Madueke, given the market, is a good buy. But I do think that, like, we've had to overpay because we just don't have an option. And I
Hmm.
think when, like, we talk about, like, we might not get Buadi, like, we might not get this incredible like 17-year-old from Lille, might not be possible, but we could easily bring him in still. He could even play as a 6, an 8, a 10. Like, he's still quite fluid in that way. I think he's more of an 8. But
Hmm.
like, we could just go to him, you go out on loan for a few years, we wait for you because you've played in a lower league, or we need you to develop, and then he
To
can come in
Saliba
and
type
rotate.
deal.
Yeah, and then he can rotate with Miles when he comes back, or one of them can move back into the 6, or you could be a bit more rotational with it. And I think, like, obviously an Eze coming in does maybe congest it a little bit more, but
Hmm.
he's a different player, but it's just positions on the pitch. But ultimately, I think it's quite evident that everyone's going to be rotated next year. Rice and Odegaard, Saka,
Yeah.
Martinelli, the strikers. I can't see one player on our team that I'm going, you're going to start every game, other than probably the two centre backs. And like they have Kivior and Mascara there if they need to be, but they're just maybe not. I mean, Kivior actually could easily play over Gabriel if Gabriel's not up, like not fit. Like that's not a concern. But like I think Saliba is probably one of the only people on the team sheet I see starting every game, and Raya. I think everyone else you're going to see Calafiori come in games, Miles come off the bench, and that's great. That's what we need. That's what City do. That's why City have 500 wingers and they do this all the time. So I mean, it's how big clubs move, and I know people are upset about it, but it's what we got to do.
It's about time, mate. Yeah. Another episode. Oh, what's that? Is this episode 15? I think this is episode 15 now. Imagine that, 15 weeks.
It's crazy. I think this is our best one.
Mate, it's only going to get better as well. We know this. It's only going to get better. I'm looking forward to that because over the summer holidays, not only will I be moving house, so that's going to be so interesting because I'm going to have to probably hotspot my phone, and then my new setup. This is going to be sick. My new setup is going to be inside a conservatory. So if it's raining, that could be really interesting because when you get like the echoing of rain on a conservatory, that will be constant. So we'll see how that goes. But nevertheless, the transfer window will be hotting up, and I do feel like we'll probably get a deal done at the end of the transfer window as well. I have a feeling if we got a Rodrigo, it would be right at the end of this window. But we'll wait and
August,
see.
yeah.
Mate, we're on 499 subscribers on this channel. If you're still watching and you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Let's get up to 500. And we are here every single Friday, sometimes a little bit late, but we usually try to go live about 8:30. Try to chat to you guys, try to get in your questions as much as you can. If you're watching this on catch up, put some questions, put some topics in the chat. We'll try our best to address them next week as well. Reece, where can people find you?
Wokkels YouTube, Wokkels Football. You know how it is.
One day I'm going to cut that bit off and I'm just going to say it for you. And you can obviously catch me on here, Forward on Football or Forward on Footy on most of the socials, on X, on Instagram, on TikTok. Not on Blue Sky. Are you on Blue Sky?
I have it. I've used it once, ever, about 4 months ago.
You're doing better than me. I'm not on Blue Sky yet. Maybe we should do that. Yeah, there'll be another video next week. And next week there will be starting some of my own solo videos again because I will actually be on holiday so I can get some work done on here. Yes! I'm looking forward to it. So there should be some more transfer news. To keep you up to date there with all the transfer news, go check out Wokkels because it is constant. I love it, mate. You're keeping me up to date at the moment. It's great. We will be here again next week. Catch you soon. Cheers now.